And we are live a little bit early, my bad. However, hi everybody, let's see who's on. Of course it's always the Jellybean, Lollyho Jellybean. And how do you do that? It's a mystery, it's a magical power. My game is awfully quiet. Little sore, but overall pretty good. Good. No, just doing physical therapy a few times a week for my neck. Good. DD, good to see you, glad to have you. Auroria, good to see you, glad to have you. Doing better, was still in a rut this morning, but singing along to P6 music helped a lot. Good, anything that's helpful. Definitely. I know, I don't know what happened, but I have some kind of stomach bug right now, so I'm actually a little bit under the weather. But hopefully, we should be good for this stream, and then tomorrow, I got my video ready to go up tomorrow, so we'll have plenty of, so I'll be able to rest. You should make sure Elliot stops streaming at a decent time for you. Yeah, Rary's tired, I'm sure, doing good work. Willow, good to see you, glad to have you. Shelly, I think I said good to see you, but good to see you, glad to have you. Tethys, yes, you're headed out to the EU. I'm assuming you're going to the European Union. That's definitely what's going on. Kathra, good to see you, glad to have you. Carson, good to see you, glad to have you. Kogaku, good to see you, glad to have you. Amber, good to see you, glad to have you. Artemis, good to see you, glad to have you. Good to see all y'all, I'm glad to have you. Well then. Let us do our pre-setup. Let's go ahead and do Dragoon. We did a lot of Dark Knight last time. And we're already, you know, I mean, we're multiple expansions ahead on that. And if we catch up on Dark Knight, what we'll do is we'll get, we'll start getting on Monk and Samurai. Especially Monk. Samurai we can hold off a little bit on, because we can always do Samurai during Stormblood. Because we don't get there until late with Kugane. But Monk, we've got to go through a Realm Reborn and Heavensward quest for it before we'll even be ready for that. But we'll also be able to do that. Maybe even do that during 3.x. You as in Chaos Phantom. Yeah. No, I definitely thought you're catching a flight. Yeah, gangs with Decoy, good to see you, glad to have you. The gang's all here. The boys are back in town. The ladies are back in town. Everyone's back in town. Okay, Albrecht, what do we have to do this time? 54. What level's the Airy? Will that cover the Airy? Here, what level was Some All? It was 53. So that should cover up to it. So we should only have to do the one today. Thank the Fury you're here. But moments ago we received word that Gralu's horde is advancing in Ishgard. Even as we speak, Heustians prepares to go to meet them in the field. Alas, with most of the dragons absent on another mission, I fear she sorely wants for lances. I would have you lend her yours, Elio. Pray, make haste to the congregation and join her. All the way out to Ishgard, just go back to Ishgard. Area's 55, I think. That makes sense, because Vault would be 57, right? And then, the final dungeon is, let me try to remember, Fractal Continuum, right? Lolly hungry but too lazy to fill my pantry and fridge. Oh! Good to see you, glad to have you, Demins, and I know that vibe. I've also, by the time I'm able to go out, all the, grocery stores are closed, which is why I have been getting food a little bit often lately, but I do not think I will be eating today because that is the kind of sick I am. Seal, good to see you, glad to have you. Elio, you've come to aid us. This improves our chances tenfold. Allow me to thank you as well, Master Elio. I am but a worried father, and it gives me heart to know that the Azure Dragoon shall fight beside my daughter. Though my training is far from over, the situation brooks no delay. We must head off to Garuli and his horde before they reach the populated area. It shall be my honor to fight shoulder to shoulder with you. The experience alone will teach me much. Of that I have little doubt. Promise me you will be careful, Heustian. Take no unnecessary risks, do you understand me? Remember, the dead cannot save their nation, and what Ishgard needs above all are brave souls like you to protect her. Worry not, father. I swear I will return to you. See that you do, child. Now before you go, there is something I wish you to have. Does just everyone fucking have a fucking copy of Gay Bulge? The land's peregrine. It is yours now. Deathberry, good to see you, glad to have you. Why, this is the lance bestowed upon your forebear by the Archbishop himself. I am no true child of yours, yet you would entrust me with the family treasure? I will not betray your faith in me, father. With this lance I shall strike down Grouli and protect Ishgard. Eorzean, it is time. It has been a while, my friend. I had the honor of overseeing your training when you were but a fledgling dragoon. I shall be honored to fight beside you. Comrades, at last, report. Grouli and his horde have gained the western highlands. We shall lie in wait for them at the pike. With me. Everyone has a little bit of gay bulge. Master Elio, may I have a moment? Each time I see my daughter off on a mission, we dance the self-same dance. I tell her to be careful. She promises me to do so, but I know her well, all too well. Eorzean burns to distinguish herself in battle, but she might repay me and my lady wife a perceived debt. I fear that one day that desire will cloud her judgment, and she will not come home. And so I beg of you, pray, watch over my daughter. They're definitely not setting up for anything. Definitely not foreshadowing. Who's ready for Moogles today? How's everybody else doing? All the perfectly instinct dragoons still look uncanny to me. Yep. It looks like the PlayStation 3 era stuff that it is. I mean, like, not to say that Endwalker still doesn't have shit like that, but they do try to make things a little more asynchronous and organic as the game has gone along, that's for sure. Foreshadowing has never happened in this game. Everything's purely textual with no implications whatsoever. Yep. Everything happens in linear order, too. What happened to your gay ball, Jelio? I had it unequipped because we got to a point where, because it's a Realm Reborn relic, you have to have it finished before you can glam it. And it was low enough that was causing me huge amounts of delay. So I had to trade out my gay bulge for a more straight spear. Elio, already we've suffered heavy losses, and that was but the first wave. They come! Brace yourself. You can still use a glamour prism to glam it? Yeah. Oh, I guess from inside my inventory. Yeah, I could do that. I feel like if I remember, it's weird about that, but I might be wrong. I'll check afterwards. More straight spears, back my... Stay sharp, that was but a taste. Helone, grant me strength. Strike down the runners first. Okay, it does work? Okay. I should probably be doing daily hunts so that I can try to get the armor earlier, but... I suppose it's fine. Never noticed her title as True Thrust. That is a choice. I mean, look. She knows how to wield her spear, that's all I'm saying. Something big is coming. Okay, now you're just fucking with me. Let me a woman who knows how to wield her spear. Beware, this is one of Gruely's champions. I mean, this story is not anything if not a parable about containing the beast within. That's all. We're off to a great start. Let's keep keeping it so clean. Look, it's hard now when you're constantly carrying around Gay Bulge. And yes, I know it is Gay Bulge. It's hard to keep the stream clean. Shalali. John, I feel like half the time lately, all you comment is sexy Helio emotes and nothing else. You wonder why we have so many degens enthusiasts in the game. Yeah. No, oh, I mean, look, the devs are too. Let's not, you know, they try to be somewhat tasteful. Better than I do. Okay, it's a very pretty night sky, but what about our friend? Maybe we should go help him. That was the last of them. Yet Gruely is nowhere to be seen. Were the reports mistaken? Such a price we have paid, only for our quarry to elude us. Dude, if you were struggling with dragons that hard... Don't pull an Estinian. Don't pull an Estinian. So finally, you show yourself! And she's pulling an Estinian. He's more of an acquaintance, really. What? Is she? Eorzean! No! What was the piece of dialogue we got right before this? Make sure my daughter comes home. Good job, Wool. Good job. By the Fury, this is a disaster! I know not how to say this, but Eorzean, strong as she is, she cannot have survived that. Here, I discovered this in the aftermath. It is a fragment of her armor. It must have broken off during the battle. Pray, see it to her father's hand. Knowing him, he will be at the congregation, awaiting his daughter's return. You couldn't have given us at least one quest in between bring my daughter home and... What? My daughter's dead? She doesn't have the right equipment to pull, like, Estinian. Absolute mad, lass. Even though I'm really excited about... Oh, Brian, good to see you. Glad to have you. Even though I'm really excited about Encyclopedia Eorzea, finally, I've been able to stop playing 6.2 long enough to read them. Yeah, well, I mean, there's also so much fucking in them. You're gonna have to read them multiple times. Like, the reality is. So, like, they're a sprint, not a marathon. Or they're a marathon, not a sprint. Also, don't forget that we have lore book clubs every Friday. And hopefully I will not be ill by then. .2 is definitely a good time. Speaking of which, I forgot to check the Island Sanctuary earlier. Master Elio, what has happened? Where's my daughter? Yeah, and it definitely also works well to try and read it by having a focused subject. By like being like, oh, there's a thing I want to look like. Honestly, one of the first steps really is also just knowing where shit is. That can really help a lot. The scraps, a piece of her armor. Why bring it to me? No. No! I refuse to believe that Eorzean is gone. It is too early to know for certain. Tell me everything that has happened. Everything. So she rode off on a dragon, right? So she leapt upon the dragon, piercing its hide, after which the creature carried her westward. If none saw her fall, it means she may have managed to safely dismount. There is hope still. If Eorzean is out there, I shall not rest until I find her. Elio, I trust I can rely upon your aid. Let us speak further at the observatorium. Must we? Albert, could you just, like, hang out in Ishgard at this point? I don't want to say Heavensward is weirdly paced, but it always is so interesting, like, how quickly you come upon the Aerie, and then how it, like, the narrative as a whole, like, expands for a second to, like, have you break. Like, it's smart in a way, but it's very interesting that, like, you have the breaks to do with everything going back on in Eorzean. It makes the story feel like more part of the world rather than just, like, this isolated event happening in Ishgard. But it is interesting. Or, like, going to Kanisena for the Mughals. Without further ado, let us consider a course of action. As Montragains dares to hope, if Eorzean was not shaken off by Gruely's back, there is a chance that she yet lives. She will have ridden the dragon until such time as she saw an opportunity to dismount. The question is where? The worst possible outcome is that she has been taken deep into dragon-ruled lands, far away from her allies. While I pray that is not so, we must be prepared for anything. Eorzean is one of our very best, and Ishgard can ill afford to lose her. For the nation's sake and that of her father, let us find her and bring her home. I will track Gruely's movements in order to ascertain Eorzean's location. Like as not, the search will take us into the heart of enemy territory. Pray, keep your lance arm honed, for we shall soon have need of it. One thing that sucks is that, like, Dragoon thing, you only see that one time when you do it. 56. No, because it'll be 55 for... So yeah, we should be good. Oh, I didn't just tune to the Sea of Clouds, did I? Well, fuck. Fuck me. I finally have people starting contacting me to put ads on our channel, which is exciting, but also things like, we want you to put out a 5-minute video on your channel labeled as a sponsorship for us, and we'll give you $25. Like, politely, and not literally, I don't literally say this, but politely, go fuck yourself. Nope, can't fly. Yay, Raid Shadow Legends. Not as of yet. $25? Pathetic. Yeah, like literally. No. $25? Yeah. No, because they like you're so at 11,000 subs, right? Is that actually the number? My God, it's actually the number. Weird. One, you're not that big, so they're not gonna give you that much. But on top of that, they know that you don't know better, so they can take advantage of you. And most people are just looking for anything. I'm sure $25 would absolutely offset production costs for that 5-minute video. Yeah. Well, and also, like, making a video, a Final Fantasy XIV lore channel, all of a sudden having just, like, one video that's about... I don't even fucking know what it was about. I don't think it was a VPN, but it was something along those lines. It's like, yeah. Like, my dignity is worth more, my time is worth more, and honestly, just the front page, the front page of my channel looking... of our channel looking like nice is worth more. So all of you guys become YouTube creators, and you too can look forward to $25 paydays. Want to keep the Ascian from finding your Warrior of Light? Let's talk about NordVPN. Why was that hidden? I have no idea what it was hidden to mints. Sell your soul for $25. Join YouTube today. I mean, to be fair, it's not YouTube that's making them do that. No, that's... But yes. Thou art known to me, mortal. Okay, this is a lot less cloudy and a lot more nice for being at the Churning Mists. You boob didn't give me enough time to put ads on my channel. Didn't give you enough time. Honestly, I would sell my soul for a cheeseburger right now. Honestly, the one benefit of being sick to my stomach right now is that I'm not hungry. So if you guys talk about food, I won't crave it. Now that we've scaled the mountain, there remains the problem of finding Filger himself. This music sounds awfully familiar. What manner of creature is that? Anybody else just want to hug him? Elio, do my eyes deceive me, or was that a Moogle? That's the appropriate time for a Warrior of Light nod. It was my understanding that they only dwelled within the Twelveswood. I certainly never expected to see one of the churning mists. If the Moogle does live here, however, he may know where Filger makes his lair. Quickly now, before we lose the creature completely. Man, it's been so long since I've looked in the Heavensward areas. Yep. Also, first time looking at Heavensward with G-Shade on. It's wild how much a difference it makes. Yeah. Just, I mean, like, the thing is G-Shade can, you know, but yes. Just a little bit of extra vibrancy and, you know, a couple extra layers of shadows and tint, and just to make it pop a little more. Don't look at it, Ysael. Don't speak to it. It will bring you naught but suffering. They didn't like my warlike ways of some... Like my warlike ways or some shit. I told you I did RimWorld and made the mistake of describing my mech battle. Oh, right, Catherine. Yeah, you have to remember, there's a lot that happens every day, and it, but yeah, I'm not talking about what YouTube pays. I was more talking about what, oh, that's a really pretty. Just what, like, other people for product placements would pay. Bah, he's gone. We must widen our search. What presets to use for gameplay? One that I made myself. I did not like any of the other presets because they were a bit... Oh, there was Lolly. Very cute. I did not like any of the other presets that I saw. Mostly because they're all, like, very G-Shade-ass G-Shade, like, making it, like, look like a different game, whereas I wanted something that was just enhancing what already was there. We did see a Moogle, did we not? Yes, thanks to Minz. It should be pinned there. Oh, hi, Deadpool. 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 Come here. I bet the people want to see you. Come here. I've heard tales of these Moogles, but it's the first time I've ever laid eyes on one. They're rather adorable, aren't they? Oof. Oh. It's the boy. What you looking at, huh? You went down? Were those grapes? Why are they so big? Moogles, why are you eating such big fruit? I mean, have you seen how tubby they are? Why do you stare at me so? Can I not find a creature adorable? My heart is not truly made of ice. Oh, Ysael. Characterization moments are so important. I don't think they're grapes. No, those are Kupo nuts. That's what a Kupo nut looks like. Let's see if we can show what the... Like, you can see it. Nope, I don't have them unlocked. But that's what that is. Mm-hmm. If you, like, for instance, use the companion app, you can get them and you'll see the icon for them. I see no evidence of this Moogle of yours. Are you certain it wasn't a trick of the light? Mayhaps simply was one of those strange plants shifting in the breeze. I need to go into my lower register for him. Can I not do it now? My heart's not really made of ice. 5 minutes earlier, maniacally laughing as dragons descend upon civilians in mass. Oh, actually, wait. Anything of... Nope. What are you up to, bud? There's no signs of Moogle in the area. God, I love doing that. I'm sure if I glimpsed the Moogle fleeing in this direction, could he be concealing himself with magic? Confounded, could we but enlist the aid of one of those local Moogles? I'm certain Race Filger would not elude us for long. Though the eye enables me to sense the presence of dragons, I can only identify Nidhogg with any certainty. We could wander in the mist for days and not know if we were any closer to his brood brother. And those are days we cannot afford to squander. Shall we divide our forces then? Lady Hydaelyn, might I ask you a question any dragons whom you judge it's safe to approach? I shall try, yet I fear the influence of Nidhogg's rage will render most of the Dravanians in the area deaf to reason. And what of you, Master Alphino? I have not yet given up on the Moogles. Elio, come with me to Gridania. I mean to petition the aid of the Moogles. Kin in the Twelveswood. After the business with the Moggle, I dare say they will be glad to help us. Assuming you have no need of me, I shall remain here. Nidhogg senses both the loss of his consort and the coming of the Eye, and his attention is firmly fixed in this direction. I mean to do what I can to hold his gaze, in the hope that it might delay any action against Ishgard. Thank you, Asinian. Hey, Sarah, good to see you, glad to have you. Come then, Elio, let us make haste for Gridania and rendezvous at Nafka's altar. Ah, but I neglected to tell you. There's an aetheryte of ancient construction here which you should make the return journey rather less arduous. Pray, do not forget to use it. Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Bop. Did I tune? I did not tune. Astinian will hold Nidhogg's gaze while tightly grasping his gaze. Demins! Astinian's not an Eorzean after your own heart. It's not an elegant aetheryte. And it would have been built within the Sixth Astral Era because that's the time when dragons and Eorzeans were at peace, but it's a good thing I have a copy of EE1 right here, right next to me. Oh man, it's so nice seeing these high resolution rather than such low resolution I'm used to. No. Because this should be the first 300 years. Settlers Sea of Clouds that commenced construction of Mountainside Sanctuary of Halone that later becomes St. Thornton's Basilica. Yeah, that's 370. But aetheryte travel isn't until 598. So who built this? A man can dream, Elio. A man can dream. Yeah. So now seeing Tiny Alphino next to a towering Astinian Hydaelyn will never not be funny. I mean, he is a child. Also, just imagine that Eorzean was once that tall. How old is Eorzean now, actually? I know Thancred's in his 30s. And I think Thancred's the oldest, if I'm not mistaken. 29. Yeah. Okay, Eorzean's 29, and so it was only a decade ago that he would have been the size of Alphino because he had his growth spurt during the 20th summer. But yeah, who made this aetheryte? Because unless it was set up recently, it couldn't have been a Sharlayan one. It couldn't have been an Onishishu one, obviously. It's not a Tenkoto. It's not elegant in design. Weird. Flamina's 35. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, though, when she first meets Cecilia, she's what? Like roughly, give or take a couple years, 20-ish. Alfie will have his growth spurt any day now. Yeah, well, actually, so someone was mentioning in the roll quest, in the melee roll quest, they say it's been 5 years since the calamity, and I need to go check what the language that is exactly. I mean, one, and it may be that the intent. The problem is that the time bubble, there are enough references to moons passing that literally I don't think they would have to make sense of the fact that there are enough people saying enough time has passed in game to justify it having been more than a year at the very least. To make sense of it. I think the thing is we're just supposed to not worry about it. We know it's been at least not 4 years. Because otherwise they would be at the growth spurt. But the fact that Yoshimi keeps talking about, or if you played the Rising event, how 6.5 may be a big leap of some kind and things might be changing somewhat, I would not be surprised to see a time jump. Or, if not a time jump, bear witness to maybe the twins end up on another shard for a period of time that's dislocated in time from us, and so they return to us a couple years later, which, because that time they would have their physical bodies, not just their souls on that shard, and so you put that together and you could see, instead of having an actual time skip on Eorzea, you time skip certain key characters. Tracy, good to see you, glad to have you. I sent word to the Elder Seedseer upon arriving in Gridania. I'm pleased to report that she has agreed to grant us an audience. If anyone can help us to contact the Twellswood Moogles, it is she. We are expected at the Lotus Stand. I trust you are familiar with the Conjurer station at its entrance. I just found a cutscene in MSQ in Heavensward where the spoken dialogue doesn't match what's printed on the screen. Interesting. You'll have to let me know what that is when we get there. And Ellie, answer my question before I even ask it about Flaminian age when she met Acelia. Yeah, I don't think it's exact. She would have been exactly 20, but she would have been roughly around there. Because, if I'm not mistaken, Acelia's 12 when they meet. I think. I'm pretty sure. And by the time of A Realm Reborn, she's 27, I think, which means that 15 years has passed. Give or take, because it's 5 years because of the calamity and 10 years because of the time in between, because if I'm not mistaken, Acelia's father dies in 1562 of the 6th Astral Era. Actually, I can check that, because the year 1562 didn't have enough. Yeah, 1562 is the Gubu breaks free. Yep, so she should have been 20. If my other ages are correct, which I'm pretty sure they are. The Elder Seedseer awaits you. Pray, follow me. Honestly, it's a lot of fun to answer, to, like, know enough lore stuff offhand to be able to try to put it together. Why is this not voiced? If it's like a cutscene as cutscene, it should be voiced. Oh, Heavensward. Oh, Heavensward, you have moved forward from A Realm Reborn so much, and yet still... Moments in moments, you hurt me so. More voice acting, I declare. I bid you welcome, friends. The Admiral spoke of having met with you, but 'tis no less a relief to see you safe and hailed with mine own eyes. We humbly thank you for agreeing to receive us upon such short notice, my lady, and all you have done for us in our absence. Would that it were solely to express our gratitude that we came to you this day. Alas, the tides of battle yet dictate our comings and goings, Elder Seedseer, and we beg your wisdom in the matter that may finally bring an end to the Dragonsong War. Speak on, friend. They've added some voice to some of the cutscenes. Yeah, I heard that for the fight with what's his face? The Steps of Faith. That now that Lisa and Papalimo join you, and that they actually have voice dialogue with Yida's current voice actor. I see. So you seek a means to contact the Moogles of the Churning Mist. Kupo! Wait. Kupo. I say Kupo. Greetings, Kuplo Cop. To what do we owe the pleasure of your company? I was struck by the sudden urge to bring you some fruit, Connie, and I'm jolly glad I did. Tell me more about these Moogles in the sky, Kupo. I will gladly tell you all I know. though it is amounts to precious little. We encountered a Moogle high in the clouds of Dravania, and had hoped that you and your kin in the Twelveswood might agree to facilitate a meeting. Pray, correct me if I am mistaken, Kuplo, but there are legends, are there not, which speak of Moogles who dwelled beyond the clouds? Indeed there are, Kupo. Long, long ago, back when the world was still young, they say my ancestors served the gods up in the heavens. Of course, that was before their masters took to bickering like spoiled children. Ah yes, the tale of good King Magomag the Twelfth. He is revered for holding fast to a rope of miraculous length, that his subjects might climb down from the sky and escape to the world below. I wonder if they served... Ignoring the more fanciful aspects of the tale, it may well be that Kuplo's ancestors hailed from the Churning Mist. Given how long his kin have resided in the Twelveswood, it is perfectly possible that the details of their history have faded into myth. Indeed, Master Alfino, such stories contain a measure of truth. 'Tis like that the Moogles of the Churning Mist tell similar tales of the world below. I can well imagine why the one you encountered fled at your approach. Oh, fleeting second natures to us. We often hide when the larger races come trampling through the forest. Of course, when there's one Moogle, there's bound to be more. Which is why I've decided to take a trip to the clouds, Kupo. They surely won't be afraid to talk to me. I was hoping you might say that, Master Kuplo. You'll accompany us, then? Just you try and stop me, Kupo. I'll admit the thought of venturing outside the Twelveswood is a bit unsettling, but I can hardly refuse a chance to meet my distant cousins. If you will have me, I too will accompany you on this venture, and lend my voice to your cause as an ambassador of Gridania. Yeah, that's actually a pretty surprising move on her part. My lady, are you quite certain? How oft has our nation turned to the signs of the Seventh Dawn in our hour of need? How oft have we asked the Warrior of Light to risk his life to save our own? Full many times I say to you, and never have they refused us. Thus do I choose this day to offer mine aid to our allies for the good of the realm. Is this not just? A most unexpected and most welcome offer, Elder Seetsier. We would be honored by your presence. Her leaving the Twelveswood is actually a pretty big deal. I mean, it's happened before. Like, she was at Cardnow and stuff, but she's the direct line from the Elementals to Gridania, so. Pray, return to the summit and inform our companions of these developments. I will serve as the Elder Seetsier's guide on the journey back to Somal. If it being a path I have already trodden, I do not anticipate any great difficulties. Besides, we shall have the Elder Seetsier's personal guard to escort us. Remember though, this means that Connie Senda would have to go into Ishgard, in through Western Kurthus Highland, up through the Dravanian Highlands. Forelands? Oh my god. Right? Dravanian, because not Hinterlands. Hinterlands would be the yeah, Dravanian Forelands, and then take the way up to, like, the amount of traveling they're gonna have to do for that is wild. They added 2 more voices sections to cutscene 10 words that I've come across already. You're not particularly close to them, though. I know one of them's in the vaults, I'm pretty sure. But the other one I'm not sure of. I also know that there's an addition to the cutscenes in, there's an additional cutscene in the Aerie, obviously, because it's going to have to be different, because of the nature of how Estinian works with us, I'm assuming. Heavensward was killing me with the lack of Connie's voices. I was so eager to hear the recovery from the super stiff TM voice and refused to give it to me. I don't think that Connie's... I mean, Connie's voice is, like, not super unstiff, but it's also... hers was not one of the ones that I found particularly worse for ARR. I was pretty okay with it. Because, like, to me, like, that's Connie Senna. That should be Connie Senna. It's, like, a little bit more regal. But, you know. Well met, Warrior of Light. Nick Hogg has stirred it, but he has watches us unblinkingly. Why do I keep expecting this Moogle to break out into Marvin Gaye? I've been really trying to hold back this feeling for so long. I need you, baby. Woo! Let's get it on. Kupo. The Elder Seetsier herself answers your call. Then there's naught to do but wait. I did not set the bot trap. No, I can fix that, though. They are here, Elio. The poor Moogle looks like he rubbed his chest up against a coal-burning stove? What? Why? Because it's frizzy? I was born under a wandering... I preferred ARR, Connie Stanton, and Merlweb voice actors. I appreciate Merlweb's voice actor now. I like them. I like hers equally in ARR as I do in Heavensward Dawn. Good King Mago Mago, good King Mog. Issa! Good to see you, glad to have you. Greetings, my friends. I'm happy to report that our journey was mercifully uneventful, devoid as the road was of Duranians. It would seem the dragons have abandoned some all for the turning mists. Elder Seeds here. May I present to you Sir Estinian Ishgard's Azure Dragoon? 'Tis an honor to meet you, Sir Estinian. I've never heard many tales of your order's extraordinary skill and courage. Oh, that's just the shadows from it. Friends, I feel it only right to inform you that they are not alone. The Moogles are all around us, even as we speak. And I should imagine that they are more than a little concerned by the horde of strangers that have descended upon their home. Mayhap now would be an opportune moment to introduce ourselves. This should serve. Oh, for the love of fuck. Actually, I wish that was what Connie said. Yeah, so the reason it's looking like that is partly because of my the way that it works as a like model texture layer is stuff that it's giving it like a heftier shadow because of the G shade. That's why it's looking like that. Because the way that Moogles look fluffy is basically there's a 2D wrap texture around here that it has some holes in it, and that's what they're making look like fur. If you remove like this 2D texture like wrap around it, it would just be like, it wouldn't look furry at all. They're hiding, of course, but there are so many of them, Coupeau. I am Connie Senna. My companions and I have braved the long road from the Twelswood to share words with you. On this occasion of our first meeting, we bring an offering of light and wind. That's some, that definitely sounds like when I bring light and wind. Oh ho ho, such gentle and pleasing glow, Coupeau. I am Moglin, the chieftain of this Moogle clan. Chieftain Moglin, it is an honor to meet you. Greetings, I am Kuplo Kopp, an ambassador of the Twelswood Moogles. A Moogle from the world below. Your hide is of a different hue, but that palm is unmistakable. I might need a moment here, Coupeau. My companions were no less surprised to learn of your existence here amongst the clouds. I hope they did not startle you overmuch in their eagerness to make your acquaintance. Full well can I imagine your wariness. I'm told that men have not walked here in nigh on 1,000 winters. Probably. Well, no. Mayhap you will forgive them for their forwardness when I unfold to you the grave matter which first brought them into your midst. My companions crave an audience with the great worm, Filger, that they might negotiate an end to the war twixt man and dragon. An end to the war, you say? I trust you, Connie Senna. The light of peace shines brightly within your soul. But I'm afraid the same cannot be said of your friends. To be plain, we did not hide ourselves because they were the first of your kind to be seen here in 1,000 years. Well, not only because of that. We hid because we smelled dragon blood. These skies are home to many, many dragons. While some crave peace, such as Filger, many others crave the opposite, such as Hogg. Suffice it to say, we are worried that the presence of your blood-spattered warrior friend will attract the attention of a nastier kind and invite destruction into our happy home. Both of us. Now, just a moment, Chieftain. Elio here may have doled out the odd thrashing or two, but it's always been for a really good reason. He is champion of the Twelswood Moogles, and I will not hear his good name slandered. Now, Ambassador, let us not ruffle each other's fur. I shall, of course, take your testimony into consideration. If I may, Chieftain, there's little room for the trust twixt strangers. Might we not take this opportunity to learn more of each other? An excellent suggestion, Coupeau. In the interest of fostering friendship and keeping an eye on you, I extend to you the hospitality of Mogholm. Prove yourself worthy of our assistance, and it will be yours. I shall be watching, Coupeau. A better offering of light and wind would be a blowjob. Jesus Christ. This. Moogled shores incoming. Indeed. Yep. Tell me, in the world down below, do all your kind look so different from one another? It must be terribly disconcerting. What was it Kuplo Kop called you again? Elio. Your names are as odd as your appearance. Have you ever considered a nice Moogle name? Moglin is taken, by the way, Coupeau. As are Mogem, Mogmug, and Mogwin. These are being the names of the 3 wise Moogles who will administer the momentous challenges that I have devised to measure your worth. I call them the Trials of Trustworthiness. Undertake these trials, and we shall soon see whether or not you are worthy of our aid, Coupeau. Actually, I could use Great Sword. God, it feels so weird. I'm such in a different place in my life playing this now than I was the first time I played it. I guess the thing about the Moogles here is, like, it's cool lore in a vacuum, but, like, it doesn't serve Heavensward as much ultimately. Like, it's really cool, but, like, doing these chores is a slowdown that I wonder how necessary it is. Whereas, like, I feel like, for instance, in Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and Endwalkers, every time the story it slows down, it's because it's going to be using that to progress in other aspects of the story as well as the story itself. But maybe there will be an element that I can glean onto here as we go through. Hello, yes, I am Mogam, the foremost alchemist in the Mogholm, if you must know. If your tummy's gloopy or your wings are droopy, I have a potion to fix that. Or I would if I didn't keep running out of ingredients. Luckily, you're here to do my trial. Yes, go forth, mighty adventurer. Mightily pluck the 3 sprigs of cloud's breath for me. You'll find it blooming near the entrance to Elitom. It's not the safest of places, so don't let yourself be too distracted by the pretty flowers. Coupeau. Always ready, Jalali, always ready. Yes, you had the pleasure of speaking with Mogmug. Now I know, I'm the fluffiest, most enchanting creature you ever had laid eyes upon, Coupeau. It isn't easy being the adorable. I can barely take a stroll outside without these relentless Ravanians throwing themselves at me. Why, they look as if they might just gobble me right up. In any case, fleeing their overbearing adulation is growing a bit tiresome. Your trial, sir, is this. Find these ardent arachiosaurs and slap some manners into them, Coupeau. Perhaps a firm smack to the snoot will teach them to appreciate my charm from afar. Maybe the chores are a way of making you dislike this particular group of Moogles. I don't think it's to make dislike them. Not sure I agree there. Thinking about the trolley and running around Labyrinthos. Yeah, but Labyrinthos is incredibly important for setting up an understanding of Charlian, for having contextual understanding of Charlian. And the trolley is really important for, okay, so like the trolley is really important because you need a slowdown time before you're going into the rising action that's about to come. And that time is spent connecting you further into the people of Amarang and the plight of those who have been struggling throughout the first, which is very important. It also is really important for the Scion characters who are talking to each other and the cutscenes that are there. So to me, the trolley stuff is absolutely valuable, and the Labyrinthos stuff is incredibly valuable. And if you're talking about the Labyrinthos stuff later in Endwalker, that I think is even, like, is incredibly important for connecting all of not Eorzean, but Hydaelyn in a task together. So for me, I think those things are serve much more specific function than this so far. But I'm hoping that I might find something of use. Mogwin's the name, and art's my game. When it comes to painting, there are none in Mogholm who can match my talent with a brush, Coupeau. I know why you have come. Chieftain Moglin has demanded the test I trust you worth, but as I trust no one to create the art that will satisfy me, I instead charge you with retrieving a masterpiece I seem to have misplaced. It was an ambitious and innovative work, guaranteed to fetch at least 4 Coupeau nuts on the open market. You must find it. Question the masses. Surely a pebble painted with such vibrant colors and unmistakable panache can't have escaped the notice of every Moogle in Mogholm. So, like, if it's a means to get to know the Moogles, that's fine. But then the Moogles don't really come back up in a way that I find, that I can think of that's particularly meaningful. But it's been a long time since I've played Heavensward or the patch content. Moogwin is missing a masterpiece, Kupo. Oh, you mean the paints me a mess of a pebble? I've not seen it recently. A fact for which my eyes are profoundly grateful. Look at that little Moogle eating out Koopa nuts. I can't stop, Kupo. It's Demins. Maestro Mogwin has misplaced his masterpiece, Kupo. Oh, happy day. If I'm the swifter in finding it, I will soon have the genuine Mogwin for the price of a little perspiration. Honestly, who has 4 Kupo nuts just lying about to spend on such luxuries? I absolutely think that Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and Endwalker put their the thing is that they expand and contract more regularly, and I think that every time that the narrative expands for a second to have a pause, it's really important for both tonality and for the things that they are setting up and the purpose to which you're using that and what it filters into. Whereas this makes the world feel bigger, gets you pieces of history. It's useful, but it's not like it doesn't, you know. I can't think of a thing that it particularly is a boon towards. I mean, like, I guess that you get the tribal quests that then allow those in a, but those are MSQ. I don't know what much about his stone, but I do know Mogwin's been creeping out the back way to All Summit from time to time, Kupo. Maybe he left it up there. Excuse you, sir, I can stop anytime I want. You could have fooled me. I just don't want to. That's what they all say. Oh, hey, there's an Aether Current. Ooh, a piece of candy. Windy candy. If I'm not mistaken, the item's up top here. I don't have a problem, you have a problem. Shut up. Spoken like someone who definitely has a problem. So Tracy, okay, so Trolley and Labyrinthos you weren't fans of. Did you have a problem with Stormbloods? Because, like, for instance, Stormblood is incredibly important for rooting you in Girabanya and Doma, and you fundamental import. Oh, is it not? Is it below? I thought it was up here. I always see these types of quests as for the ones who level up are not quite there for the next area, and it's a way to catch them up to snuff, or that's what my head senses. No, it's a fair point. Though I would point out, Kathra, if that was true, all you could do is tweak it to the you could get rid of these, have the other quests give you just as much XP, and then you would still be able to. But it's not, again, like, there is a, I don't think they're bad, and I think it's okay to have the narrative expand and contract. It's just, I'm surprised, I can't think of a way this is used as an element at all later on in MSQ. Like, there are other ways that in the world it is. I mean, also, they could be just, like, they needed more tribes, right? So, like, if that's the case, you know, they had to introduce them somewhere. Well, what did you find, Kupo? Well, he's high Kupo. What did you find, Kupo? Hey, you, good to see you, glad to have you. Yes. Now that you mention it, I do seem to recall leaving my pebble out in the sun to dry. The second part of your trial commences. Go, adventure, and retrieve my masterpiece before some art-starved admirer swipes the stone for himself. It's Kupo nuts with a big lump with knobs, and it has juice. I can tell you about it. What? What song am I supposed to be singing this in? I literally... Do they sing a song that goes that way? Corn Kid. Aubrey, did I say good to see you, glad to have you? Because if not, good to see you, glad to have you. Also, what? I have zero clue what's going on. I was right, it is up here. I don't know why after 3 years I remember that. I can't believe the last time I played this game was last time I played Heavensward was 3 years ago. It's a reference to a popular video that got turned into a song recently of a kid being very excited about corn. That would do it. The more the internet changes, the more it stays the same. Do you have it, Kupo? It is my masterpiece. Safe. That was the wrong voice. Yes, yes, this has worked, if not exquisite. I call it contemplation of zenith. Thank you, sir. At least I can exchange my art for those delectable Kupo nuts. Chieftain Moglin will hear of this valorous deed. Suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? It's very cute, but I hate how companies are already using it to make money. Kids better be getting some credit. Yeah, I got some bad news about how that works. I can tell you, unless people who like go viral like try to like sell their own merch from it or do something with it, they do not make money off of it. They effectively exist in the public domain. Yeah. It do be like that though. Thank you for elucidating where it came from, by the way, Aubrey. Kill the dinosaurs. Oh, also, Ray really wants to get the dinosaur mount because she has a glam that's a barbarian mount. I think it's this dinosaur that you get from Eureka, right? So if more people want to do Eureka, we could create a party, or we could do another Saturday community stream. Oh. Speaking of, what are people wanting to do this Saturday for community stream? Okay, let's find out this Cloud's Breath. Savage Abyssos practice? Well, the problem with community stream doing Savage Abyssos is, so like, one, we have our Savage group. Like, we could do P5S, but the problem is that then, like, anyone who's not at that point in the game can't watch, and potentially if they don't want any spoilers, and on top of that, like, that's only 8 people, whereas if we have more than that, which we may not have more than that, so, you know, it varies. Like, if you just want to do Savage Abyssos practice, I'd be happy if people want to just at me and looking for group. Oh, speaking of, we have an open slot in our Savage group. We had one person who needed to drop. If you are free on Saturdays after 6 p.m. CST and you would like to join a Savage raiding group, let me know. We need a DPS. Preferably a caster or melee, but we... Old Trials for mounts? Yeah, Willow, yeah, we can definitely do that. Although I may ask that we do Kamui, because we've been doing burbs so constantly, and I have all the burbs and horses, and I think there's actually a couple Kamui that I don't have. Because I just never got around to it. But yeah, we can definitely do old Trials. Okay, stupid question. What exactly do the dinos have to do with dragons, or are they just there? If I'm not mistaken, they are a form of scalekin. They may be a lesser dragon. So the thing is about that, dragons, the way that dragons hatch, the way that dragons are on the source is different than they would have been on the Dragon Star. So for instance, the First Brood and Midgard Summer are true dragons. But most, not all, but most dragons, or at least a lot of dragons on the source, end up splitting down branching evolutionary paths based on, because the ethereal composition of the source is both different, lesser, and so they if they're aspected in one direction, they end up being more one type or another. So you can, if it's in balance, you'll get like dragon into elder dragon. If it's less in balance, you can get like lesser dragons, wyverns, bruminox, and I would assume that they are a derivation of one of those. But let's see if we can see. Let's see if there's an entry on them in the scalekin section. Tyrannosaurus. Known by many as king of the carnivores, the Tyrannosaurus is feared by men and beast alike, and the violent nature and insatiable appetite making it one of the deadliest predators in the realm. Its tiny, almost comical arms are all but ignored by the by the Tyrannosaur while hunting, opting instead to employ the sheer speed granted by its muscular rear legs and rows of knife-like teeth that line massive maw to subdue slaughter its prey. While this only designates it as a scalekin, it does not designate it as a dragon in any particular way. It's also interesting that of the scalekin, it does not look like any other dragon ends up in this section. So it's possible that it is not a dragon, and the fact that we're snooting their booting was more to be referring to like Dravanian kind broadly rather than specifically dragons for the Moogle. Yeah, but it is interesting that they did seem to specify dragons, but we does not seem like Tyrannosaurs are. And their existence, I mean, Eureka's weird for a bunch of reasons, so Eureka's not a good touchstone for anything, but yeah. Old travel mounts, that sounds fun. I've been trying to get chest tokens for over an hour and the gods are against me. Chest tokens for which thing? But yeah, Willow, we can definitely do old mounts if you learn. But Chris, yeah, if you want to do Savage Abyssos, you should consider joining our raid group. Abyssos? Abyssos sounds fun? Well, Willow, of course, you're also in the group already, so if we add the Savage group together, we wouldn't even be able to add anyone other than one slot. Again, though, I would be happy to do... if anyone wants to try and clear P5S, I'm happy to do it sometime this week with you guys. Might be all I have time for. No, old Trials rounds fun. Okay. Oh, chest tokens from normal Abyssos. Now I understand. You were able to humble my Dravanian devotees. Wonderful. You are capable, Dravanians, not dragons, so that's the important distinction there. Dravanian devotees. Wonderful you are as capable as I am captivating. Coupeau. Still, my precious perfection does not excuse those louds for pursuing me so mercilessly, their tongues lolling and bellies rumbling. The Dravanians and their ilk have much to learn about acceptable acts of admiration. Yeah, so it's definitely because they're technically seen as Dravanians by the Moogles, but they aren't, like... Yeah. I got so lucky in my first run of P8 and the minion got it right. Nice! I got that for P4, but, P8 I got because we ran with our group. Did you find trouble in the Cloud's Breath? I do not eat it quite urgently, you know. Oh yes, these are perfect, Coupeau. Now I have the main ingredient for my palm tonic. Speaking of which, how are you feeling, sir? You ever feel your palm losing its bounce? Then I'm your Moogle, Coupeau. Lance is still worse. Level up. Sonic Thrust. Elio, if that is what you insist on calling yourself, you have completed the Trials of Trustworthiness administered by that taskmaster Mogam Mogmug and Mogwin. During these grueling tests of character, I closely observed your conduct, as well as that of your companions, and I am decided, Coupeau, gather your friends before me now, so that I need not repeat myself needlessly. Are these trials over, then? My task has been a little more than household chores. If our hosts elect not to grant their aid after working us like pack chocobos, I shall demand compensation in kubo nuts out of principle. But I hope it will not come to that. Let us hear the chieftain's verdict, shall we? Oh, Willow. This is why you always keep your inventory organized. Yep. Big oof. How goes the trial, Warrior of Light? I myself have been sent on a number of expeditions to chastise the local dragon population. Did not the chieftain wish to avoid inflaming the Dravanians? Such contradictions aside, our hosts seemed entranced by the height of my leap. They compared me to Mog, a lance-wielding Moogle warrior of Eld, who also favored such attacks. 'Twas meant as a compliment, I expect, but I doubt these furry lumps could outleap a Karukal lamb, much less a dragoon. Conclude your business here swiftly, Elio. I like not this place. On the quest to get to some, all Vidofnir calls the dinosaurs Nidhogg's minions, so we should assume that dragons rule over the Dravanians. I think that's a fair assumption. What does she say specifically when she's referring to the minions? Is she saying that the way to some all is guarded by his minions? Or is she just counting them in the people that are in the area before Halo? Standing here in Mogholm, my thoughts turn inevitably to the legend of good King Mogomog XII and his seat in the heavens. Like most, I thought it no more than myth, a story for the younglings that grew with the telling. But with every passing moment, I become more certain that we have discovered the origin of the tale. Full eager am I to hear what the chieftain has to say. So I feel like this may be not even a real contextualization, but they may just have like a dropped element. But like in 1.0, seeing Kupos was a much bigger deal and thing. So like that's why there are some things from 1.0 that are kind of retconned. We become such friends, Kupo. My Moogle cousins love to sing and dance as much as I do. Chieftain Moglin has finally come to a decision, has he? Well, I suppose I better flutter on over to see him then. What sorcery is this, that my heart should stir at mere fluffiness? Ysael wants to hug the Kupos. Elio, I was, no matter. What is it? Chieftain Moglin has made his decision. Well, let us not keep him waiting then. When you have to go through more into the Gate of Some All, she says, Nidhogg's minion will attempt to stop you, but I will judge your worthiness by how you deal with them. Yeah, that works. That works. So, like, we can definitely, I would constitute them as Nidhogg's minions. So, yeah, Dravanians are Nidhogg's minions broadly. Well, at least some. Some under his domain are. I would, any that are aggressive, because Filger seem to not be. Dr. Wario, good to see you, glad to have you, and salutations indeed. Are we completely certain that Istini is the same person from then to the lovable, socially awkward lout we have in Endwalker? Yes, because he gets there from growth. We can chart his growth. That's, you know, people can be different people can grow and change all their lives. Never have I seen such determined workers, Kupo. It would have taken us moons to complete all those dreary chores and niggling errands. And I have our labors proven the purity of our intentions. Without a doubt, in fact, there was never really all that much doubt to begin with. You were, after all, already friends with a fellow Moogle. But you see, before any meeting with Filger could take place, certain preparations needed to be made, and what better way to help you pass the time than by having you perform all the tiresome tasks that no one ever wants to do, Kupo? Ugh. Oh dear, the horn, bring it out, the horn, quickly now. We blow on this wonderful and wondrous instrument whenever we wish to speak with the great worm, Kupo. We haven't perhaps been treating it with the care it deserves of late, and I think Morgan may have sat on it, so we needed some time for cleaning and polishing and straightening. No lasting harm done, though. Now you need simply head to Zenith, the worm dwelling to the west, and give the horn a good toot. We are in your debt, Chieftain. Thanks to your noble gift, we shall finally have a chance to plead our case to Filger. Very possibly, yes, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too high, Kupo. The wooled worm isn't terribly fond of, Your concern is appreciated, but I'm quite certain that Filger will welcome our overtures. Should we ever arrive at his lair? Come, we have squandered enough time already. No, Catherine, I understand you being sarcastic. I mostly was approaching the point is just like worthy of pointing out, like, yeah, the fact that they earned that arc is pretty fucking awesome. Chieftain Moglin, we thank you for your gracious hospitality. Though we must soon take our leave, I pray that we continue to nurture the shoots of this new-sprung friendship twixt earth and sky. Of course, Kupo. Visit us whenever you wish. Consider Mogholm your home amongst the clouds. No, it's all good. Silal, you're all good. Welcome to being caught up. And yeah, it's definitely Kupo Nut. Thanks for your help, Kupo. I doubt I would ever have found the time for all those rotten chores. Hey, it was my idea if the chieftain had spent a little less time sitting about and a little more time chieftaining. Things would have never have gotten so messy in the first place. And he was the one who sat on my horn, by the way. But now all the errands are done and the horn is fixed. So all's well that ends well, eh, Kupo? Well, I expect you're eager to be on your way. Did I mention your friends was looking for you, Kupo? If not, Alfino was looking for you. I'll be waiting just outside, stretching my wings. Let me know when you're ready to depart. Geez, I did get my fingers in the wrong place. The word is sarcasm. All good. If it weren't for spell check, no one would ever understand me over the internet. Thank you, Ray Ray. Join our YouTube channel for the low, low price of not much a month. You can get custom emojis, special badges, and the warm, fuzzy feelings of supporting your favorite archivists. You can also give us super chats, or if you'd like your name up in the banner above, you can give us money over on the Patreons, and you'll get all sorts of fun little rewards. Speaking of, we're going to have our monthly stream for patrons, if people want to do that sometime soon. Are you I'm cuckoo for Kupo nuts. Yes, definitely. To the best of my knowledge, we have all that we have need for our trip to Zenith, and I believe the Elder Tsetsia and a retinue will soon be making the journey back to Gridania. It would be remiss of us, I think, not to convey our gratitude to them prior to going our separate ways. Shall we? I want to talk to you. You're part of the short story. They have the Elder Seedseeker scrubbing and sweeping. The Elder Seedseer! I never imagined my duties would include tidying up falling leaves in a Moogle village beyond the clouds. Alfino, Alio, I do humbly thank you for what has been a most enlightening experience. Were it not for your pioneering spirit, the existence of the Moogles might never have been revealed to us. 'Tis we who should be thankful, Elder Seedseer. Were it not for your timely diplomacy, they never would have chosen to reveal themselves at all. And 'twas your presence, Kuplo Klopp, that ultimately won us their trust. It must have taken great courage to leave the sanctuary of the Twelveswood, and we are exceedingly glad that you did. It was my pleasure, Kupo. I've made so many new friends and have so many fantastic tales to tell my kinsmoogle back home. Just doing Moogle chores. And it is to our home that we must now return. May you ever walk in the light of the crystal, my friends. Man, they just keep using that less and less and less. Until the last time that you hear it. Safe journey, Elder Seedseer. We too must be on our way. Race Filger awaits us. That was a little bit deep for Alfino. Oh, we're still in Moogles? I thought I'd come back to the middle of, like, Zenith. When you have to read out all the lines, you don't go as fast as when you're just reading it in your brain. Warrior of Light, pray attend closely to your companion. Sir Justinian, beneath the stoical facade, a storm of anguish seethes unseen. The horn is the reason for the Moogles' horns. I know there was some reason for being there. Do we know that? I mean, we don't know that Hraesville are going to provide it until after the people's left. But yeah, I mean, one might think that the reason that the Moogles use horn, it comes about because of the Hraesville horn. But that's also a leap. We have to. That's a theory more so than it is stated, unless it is stated, and I don't know, and I just missed where. I don't think I missed it where, because I don't think anyone said it so far. But there might have been an NPC I missed who said it. Have you said your goodbyes and dabbed away your tears, Kupo? Then we are indeed ready to go. Oh, for the horn? Yeah, but there's no reason that they couldn't have just given us the horn. Like, there has to be an effect to which... Like, that joke is a reason, right? But, like, there's no reason that we couldn't have just communicated and be granted it. Like, if that was put to use later because we come back and engagement with the Moogle matters for other reasons, or, you know, like the initial introduction of the Ananta ends up paying out later out in Stormblood, or... So it's just like, I can't remember a time that they end up using this in MSQ, like this connection that we've built. As Chieftain Moglin already explained, the shiny instrument we gave you in the is the best means of grabbing Hraesvelger's attention. I'll come along and show you the way to Zenith. That's the big place where you need to blow the horn. First things first, though, we need to make for us. Well, okay. Further reinforcement from a different voice with Connie Senna that there's anguish beneath Justinian's facade. We need to make for Asa. Oh, and watch out for the rampaging dragons. Maybe that should have been the first thing, Kupo. What does your thing unlock? I'll let you pick that up. You aren't thinking of heading towards Asai, are you? Best watch yourself if you are. An Archaeosaurus stalked the road looking for an easy meal. If only someone could drive them away, Kupo. Oh, you seem to the type for a dragon hunting. Why don't you slay 3 of the Archosauruses and open the road back up to Moogle traffic? Once the deed is done, let Magmont and Asa know. Can I just take the wind spirit and make that count as the aether current? You know what's interesting? We don't talk about the fact that the Sea of Clouds and the Churning Mists aren't wholly so different. Like, they are distinguished by the elements upon the map, but I mean, they are just like rocks up in the sky. And look, I think they are visually quite different. But it's interesting that we like tend to lambast the fringes and the peaks as being too similar, when, you know, the forelands and the hinterlands aren't so different. I mean, the forelands and hinterlands are pretty different enough, but like, both are distinguished by their ruins, and a slightly different topography. But beyond that, their vibe is technically the same. Now, I will say the ruins of, because like there's like the Ziggurat and the Ark of Youngcrump, right? But like those aren't as striking visual symbols as like Filger's domain and the Airy, and I still get them confused so easily. The names are slightly too similar in concept for me. Well, think about this. You know how when you meet Filger, there's like, it's super windy? Or you know how like the area is here and it's like surrounded by tempestuous winds? That's the churning mists, the churning winds. And then the Sea of Clouds is where Bismarck, you know, like the giant sky whales, you know, he sails through the Sea of Clouds. Maybe if that helps. They're similar in design, but they have a different feel to them. Yeah, they definitely do. I definitely do. I don't mean to say that Churning Mists and Sea of Clouds is like on the exact same in terms of like closest to vibe as Fringes and Peaks, but it is interesting, like where that dividing line of being indifferent enough is. Because if you look at like in detail, the Fringes and the Peaks are quite different, but in macro, like they kind of just feel very arid and similar. Oh, true. The sea aspect will help a lot, actually. Good. Yeah. Good. I always try to find, like, if I'm struggling to remember something, like, some kind of in to, like, try and remember it. You know, gently shooting a praying mantis out of my apartment is not what I expected to do tonight. Well, at least you're gently shooing it rather than killing it. But, yeah. Good on you. Good on you, Artemis. What does actually this ability do? Oh, it's a combo off Doom Spike. Well, awesome, then it's in the perfect place. Sweet. There's been a praying mantis using my kitchen window as a sleeping spot for the past month. I've named her Jenny. That just makes me think of Buffy. Maybe, I mean, Jenny Calendar, I mean, would be different, but like makes me think of the first season of Buffy with the praying mantis substitute. Is that something from below? How did you get past the Archosauruses infesting the road? What? Mozzie asked you to slay him for him. It's just like him to depend on the kindness of strangers. We've barely been able to venture outside of a side for fear of being attacked. Now, thanks to you, the roads are a little safer, Coupeau. Also, where we see the Arachiosaur, both on the roads and like around certain places that are associated with Nidhogg, I think Tethys is probably right. Ruth, good to see you. Glad to have you. Yes, no, you definitely can see the Void Arc. The Void Arc definitely does show up. It's a super cool little detail. I've never seen Buffy, so I'll have to take your word for it. Demins, I feel like you probably would have liked Buffy as a show. Never would I have believed that so much land lay hidden above the clouds. Dravani is not as I imagined it. Things were a bit bitey for a while there, but I think we have arrived in one piece, Coupeau. I wonder what has the dragon so awfully snappy. I mean, the bad ones are always bad, but they seem worse than usual. Upgrades? Nope. Still no upgrades. Well, it's nighttime, so perfect timing. We may have a small problem, Coupeau. When the winds are high like this, Filger invariably abandons his lofty perch and heads for the lands below to hunt. If we try blowing the horn now, I doubt he'd hear it. I suggest we stop and clearing up ahead and rest until the wind dies down. Next scene upcoming is an incredibly important cutscene that I don't think is undervalued, but I think people sometimes miss how vital this next cutscene is. One of my favorite shows is Supernatural. Don't judge me. I adore season 1 through season 5 of Supernatural. I adore. I just think that everything after ranges from kind of interesting to good fan fiction to bad fan fiction to just bad. So season 1 through 5 I'm a big fan of for Supernatural. That feels like a cohesive full story that tells what it means to tell and like is interesting and stays horror with comedic elements rather than just becoming dark comedy and then melodrama, just sheer melodrama. Yeah, but season 5 is very hit or miss, yeah. And the thing is, for me, it's more miss than hit, and even if it was more hit than miss, the thing is that it's so, like, season to season for its narratives that's just... It doesn't feel like a cohesive narrative after that. Fun fact, the guy who show ran for seasons 1 through 5 is the guy who show runs The Boys. So if you like The Boys, that's part of why. Also, Demins, I bet you like The Boys. But yeah, Ruth, I love when you can see elements of the world out and around the clouds. Or not even just the clouds, but just like out and around the world. When things change, for instance, if you do the Moogle quests, the tribe quests, you can rebuild aspects of some of the ruins here, and I adore that. This should be nicely, Coupeau. The winds will likely have died down by tomorrow, but until then, we might as well make ourselves comfortable. If we must interrupt our journey, then so close to its end, I suppose this place is as good as any. And mayhap a brief respite from the hardship of the road will help clear our minds in readiness for the coming parley. Oh, very well, then I believe a campfire is in order. Leave the gathering of fuel to me. I acquired a keen nose for firewood during my time in the frozen wastes of Kurthus. Oh, Alfino, always grabbing the wood. Don't run with that, Demins, or Tethys, or Jlali, or Jubilant, or Bean. Clear our minds. 'Tis Master Alfino whose mind needs clearing. The thought of meeting a great worm in the flesh has befuddled the boy. Did you see him stroll away as if these ruins were not crawling with deadly beasts? Follow Melio and see if the wildlife does not make a meal of our young friend. We will have the camp ready by the time you return. I've only seen part of episode 1 of The Boys, and given it was a Dick Vorse scene, I was wasn't inclined to watch more. Dick Vorse scene? That's season 3. That's like multiple seasons in. And also, that's like a... Yeah, that's... Yeah. But... This is one of my favorite cutscenes. Yeah, it's a fantastic cutscene. Elio, I'm a gentleman. I will never make suggestive jokes involving a minor. Good. Makes me wonder what the age of consent actually is in 14. Only because it seems that we get from the Rising, we get the implication that potentially adulthood it can be at 16. But they still refer to him as a boy, so I assume that by... But I can't tell if that's in most people's eyes him being literally not an adult or just being a youth. I would default to being a youth, I think, based on how most people talk to him about it. It also probably would defend... I mean, it probably depends culture to culture, too, right? I guess, like, it's also like Pokemon, right? Where I think, like, going out at 16 is fine, but it may not be considered an adult until older. I don't know. Slander! I would never slander the bean. Yeah, but as I was saying earlier, if anyone wants to join in our Savage group, we meet every Saturday. And if you have interest, message me on the Discords. Burn the Trents. Burn them. Oh, hey, there's the Alphino. Leave the firewood to me. I mean, the thing is, he's a capable combatant. I don't know why we were worried about him particularly. I see I was right to worry about the boy's safety. Once Alphino returns with the wood, we can see about the supper. The Ice Queen has filled a pot with what looked like stew ingredients, ready for the fire. And cutscene. I think. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's voiced. Because I remember Estinian's line very specifically. True. This is the scene on which Heavensward pivots. Oh, come on. This isn't voiced? I don't know why I remembered it as voiced. Few things compare to the simple pleasures of sitting beside the crackling campfire of one's own making. Ha! So speaks the great explorer. Until recently, you wouldn't have recognized firewood if it came with kindling and flint. 'Tis well you would instruct me so patiently, then. But yes, left to my own devices, I would have been compelled to signal to Ysayle with a pile of damp leaves. I was born the pampered son of Charlian dignitary, and alongside my twin became the youngest student ever to be accepted into the studium. How proud I was to match wits with scholars and philosophers, how ignorant of mine own shortcomings, that hubris invited manipulation and betrayal, and led to the downfall of the scions. We of all are guilty of similar ignorance. How many men lay down their lives, never knowing what it is that they fight for, never questioning that which they have been taught to believe. 'Twas only upon meeting Filger that I learned the truth hidden within our history. Were it not for the chance encounter, I would never have vowed to tear down the Holy See and expunge the falsehoods for which fans the flame of conflict. I would have lived and died in ignorance. That truth has driven me to do terrible things, I cannot deny, but I would rather have sin in the pursuit of peace than imagine myself virtuous for perpetuating a needless war. If this journey has taught me anything, it is the importance and difficulty of holding to one's convictions in the face of failure, of striving always to replace one's ignorance with knowledge. You are well on your way, Master Alphino. At your age, I was but a fool swinging a spear with scarcely a thought in my head. Even now, I struggle to acknowledge the misconceptions under which I had labored. Sitting here, amongst these grand ruins, how can I deny that man and dragon once lived in peace? But for all that such an age existed, we are now in a time of war. Nidhogg has killed my family, and no quirk of history will exonerate him. I may be ignorant of how the Dragonsong War began, but if we do not put an end to this conflict now, I can say for certainty that it will only breed more vengeful souls such as mine. In my hands resides the power to vanquish a great worm. If Ishgard's survival rests on me wielding that power, I will slay Nidhogg myself, orders or no. Estinian, you gave your word. My word is contingent upon the success of our parley. Show me the strength of your convictions, Lady Iceheart. Convince Filger of the righteousness of your cause. Yeah. Estinian comes across as the most reasonable one by far. I mean, they all are, and understandable. Doubt not but that I shall, Dragoon. Well, winds willing, we shall have our answers on the morrow. Let us sleep now and face our fate with the rising of the sun. The fact that this is not voiced is just stupid. This, like, of all things, like, this is like one of the linchpins of Heavensward, and I can't believe this is not fucking voiced. But I switched the hairstyle with Eorzean so hard I thought I was watching the AU where Eorzean was a dragoon with Estinian. What hairstyle? Mine? Because my hairstyle is not the hairstyle he has. Because his hair's long. I read somewhere on the net that Eorzean were considered an adult upon their 16th birthday. I was looking up the cast of characters to get their backstory. Did you read that on an RP server or on an RP thing, or did you read that as like a text in game? Because I would want to like know where that was. Here, let's see if there's anything on Alfino and Ali say that we can. Oh, it's not. It looks kind of similar, I guess. Yeah, no. Estinian's hair is here. Let me pull up. Estinian has very long hair. When you get into Endwalker, he does tie it up in a ponytail, though. God, he's fine. Yes, he is fine. No, I mean, it looked like Eorzean's hair. Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it is Eorzean's hair. It is straight up Eorzean's hair. That's totally understandable. Did I misread you, or did you... The hairstyle with Eorzean so hard, I thought it was AU. Eorzean was dragging with Estinian. Yeah, no, I misunderstood your... That was on me, not you. I thought you were talking about Estinian and read... Or for somehow managed to read Eorzean as Estinian. But yeah, no, that's not rude. It's the same hair. I'm not surprised it reminds you of him. That's also one of the reasons that if you look at Elio, though, also he has highlights. That was another layer thing to distinguish it. But this kind of hairstyle is a hairstyle I've used in other games too, so that's why I went with it. Scions. Slaw, doing refugees. History, natural history. Oh, hey, check this out. Upon graduating at 16, the Sharlayan age of adulthood. So to Sharlayans, Alfino is considered an adult. He resolved to sail for Eorzean in spite of his father's objections. That does not actually mean Elizans are considered adults at 16, but in Sharlayan, they would be considered adults. Ishgard, I don't know if I can think of a good example to be able to cross-check, but there's an entry point that we can definitely look. So I guess... Look, in our world at 16, well, I guess it depends on what country and state you're in, but you know, still, if you're in your like mid-20s and 30s and you're getting hots for the Eorzean twins, then maybe rethink some of your life choices. But yes, they are technically adults according to Sharlayan reckoning. Okay, it says Horshanafont was 17 when he became a knight. As earned quite a reputation for himself within society, endeavors to attend from this far cry, care to first met. We know it's at least 25 is adulthood for Ishgard. I might be able to check with the Heavensward. All the Heavenswards seem to be in their 20s, except for the couple who are older. interesting. Aymeric and Estinian are the same age. They're both 32 years old. Yep. I don't have anything good to indicate what Ishgars think is adulthood. Current Rising Quest, the characters you meet is 16 old enough, in his opinion, to go out and start adventuring. Yeah, but, like, for instance, we don't... So, me and Tethys were talking about this, and I think it's not unfair to assume that that might be classified as adulthood, but the fact that... So, the one thing is that Encyclopedia Eorzean is specifying that Charlian is considered adulthood would make me think that maybe that's not necessarily true for all of Eorzea. The other thing is that going out on an adventure does not necessarily mean you're an adult. The same way that people can go out and live on their own even if they're not an adult yet. Like, living on your own at 16, right? Like, that's a thing. It's in one of the official short stories. Well, good. I'm just about to start rereading those short stories. So, speaking of, if you liked the most recent short stories, keep a lookout for our video tomorrow. I'm not sure I revel in 7 sides. I look up on Final Fantasy 14 characters. I would just say, like, Kathra and to everyone, be really careful on information with 14 that doesn't come from the game or from these books, because a lot of the wikis state things erroneously. So unless something's, like, actually from the game, like, it's literally, like, text from the game, like, on Gamerscape or something, just be careful, because there are people who, like, have headcanon that they've treated as canon and put them on the wikis. And I see it from time to time, or say things that are just explicitly wrong. I can see them. I didn't notice them before, but I don't blame you. I played an Elves and used the same hairstyle. I mostly played Cures, though, and male Cures used the Thancred's hairstyle. Yeah, it's good hair. Elio's top, Urianger Daddy's a fucking inferno. I ain't arguing. But with black and blonde highlights. Nice. Don't say that the G-Gens will do bad things. It's true. It's the lore. What they do is up to them. Current Rising Quest, yeah, we talked about that. I'm a D-Gen, but not that much of a D-Gen. Yeah. So as for Eorzeans broadly, there may be evidence somewhere. You could use, for instance, what we get from the Rising. That might mean that Keeper of the Moon's age of adulthood is 16. But, you know, does that mean that that's the same for Lalafell? Does that mean that's the same for Rogadin? Does it, you know, Elzen are longer lived, so is it irrelevant what the racial group is, and is it more appropriate connected to the region? So, like in Gridania, is it like 20 versus Kurthis or Ishgard versus Thanalin or Ul'dah versus Lenosia? And I don't know. And it's not like there's a specific entry saying, ah, yes, the age of consent is this. I guess the adulthood does not necessarily immediately equate to the age of consent. However, I would assume that it does in every legal way within the confines of the world. Campfire was cozy, so I must have fallen asleep, Kupo. But do you feel how the winds have shifted? They will have borne Hraesvelgr back to the skies above Zenith, I'm sure of it. This is your chance to climb onto the highest floor of the place and summon him with a toot of that shiny horn. So, I'll be heading back now, if that's all the same to you. Good luck, Kupo. It was nice knowing you. My boyfriend just played one of these scenes included in part of the new endwalker story. I was watching and noticed, hey, wait, I read the dialogue recently. Man, I loved... I noticed... I was watching and noticed, hey, wait, I read this dialogue recently. Man, I love this game. Hyped for more of the stories. Oh, because of the use of the short story or something? Or what were we referring to? Are there any races that live for hundreds of years still? A lot of the races seem like they're considered mankind in general, so I don't think I've gotten an impression of anyone live as long. Elves and fairies, other fan stories. No, none of the spoken, other than the only one that might is Mughals. But most of the spoken races, none of them live. Like, some of them live longer, but they don't live like like hundreds of years. Eorzean lives slightly longer than Hures. Burst of Aether provides me the levitation. The thing is that Mughals are kind of pretty fey, so like that's one of the reasons that if anything they would be. Date of existence, particularly defective, simply ignored. There may be something. I don't necessarily see anything about their age either, but there may be something in game that I'm unaware of. But no. Other than the ancients, no spoken race seems to live for a long time. And the ancients, as far as we know, It's a little confusing. Some lines are a little weird, but effectively seem immortal. Because they choose, like, death is not a concept that they really contend with unless they choose to return to the star. Are Viera on the source as long-lived as the first? They should be roughly as long-lived. So they live to be about 200-ish. Like a little over 200, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess that does, if you're, sorry, I was thinking more 500, but yes, if you're thinking about particularly long, Viera do. That is correct, Tethys, thank you. I was still thinking like 200 still roughly within the bound of like, you're only still a double a here's lifespan. Because we made Viera on the first they're over 200. Yes. But if I'm not, here, let me, here, let's check EE2. Because the dialogue I think you get when you talk to the guy in Rabanastre, not Rabanastre, he's on the airship. Why am I forgetting it? The one that Emmett Selk made for Final Fantasy XIV William Shakespeare. See, this is why, like, even if you don't read the whole thing, getting used to knowing where things are so you can look them up quick is really useful. Namazu. I know there's not a section on Viera, but I swear to God there's a little bit on them. We'll have to go talk to the guy in Kugane on the Prima Vista. That's what it's called. To check in. Sorry, yeah, part of the side story when ancient characters talking about becoming a heart of big important god is actually a cutscene flashback to thing post Shadowbringers in 5.2 somewhere. Yes, yes, a part of that is tied to it. Yes, yes. Sorry, I thought you were saying Endwalker, but yes, the short story is tied to a thing is the short story takes place both before and after that event. Provided more context for it. Yep. It provided more context for that and for the Endwalkers, and for a certain character in Endwalker. Well, 2 characters in Endwalker. Yep. They're really pretty long, but not thousands of years. Yeah, they're not like well, it's not Tolkien elves. Tolkien elves are immortal, but unless killed. Yeah. Elves and other fantasy stories, so just dragons really. Yeah. Pretty much on Hydaelyn, there's nothing that lives eternally, and that might be a byproduct of its sundering. When you think about it, because the entities that lived upon the source pre-sundering were immortal, as far as we know. I mean, like, maybe not the creatures, but like the ancients specifically. It is time, warrior of light. Time for an Aether Current. But yeah, if anyone wants to check, I'm pretty sure, not certain, but I'm pretty sure the guy in Prima Vista has a comment about lifespans. But also, the V should have the same lifespan as Viera. There's no reason that they should be meaningfully different. In my opinion. I mean, we were never demonstrated any meaningful difference between Mistel and Mikote, between elves and Elizans, between... Mortals, why do you disturb my solitude? Let me know if I need to read it, because I don't know if you guys are able to read it, if the quality's good enough.
Grace, Filger.
There's some other dialogue that... Yeah. Do you guys need me to read it? Can you, like, are you guys able to read it? For when dragons are speaking? Yeah, Rin, I would suggest, too, that there's some other lines that potentially agree with that. I can't remember which ones, but I think there's at least one in Abyssos. It's one I read recently somewhere in either Abyssos or Elpis that would suggest you might be right, but there's other lines that also kind of imply that, like, death is so foreign to them, and they're around for, like, hundreds and hundreds of years, like the most recent short story, that they are either immortal or effectively immortal, most likely, but it's not, yeah, we don't have a really, really super firm grasp on it. Yeah, in the 6 point, the short story just gives some context. That's just one piece in the puzzle. Okay, yeah. Thou speaking the name of the creatures that but awaiteth the release of oblivion. Leave me.
At 12. Mine ears hear the tongue of dragons, yet the meaning rings clear within my mind. How can that be?
Cool. So, specific here, right? He specifies it's not that he's speaking inner mind that's making him go weird. It's that it's the tongue of dragons. So I would suggest that Vidofnir also speaks into people's minds as well, as we were thinking. So yeah, I think all dragons who talk are talking by speaking into people's minds. It's just that he's speaking in Dravanian. Yeah, no problem. That's very...
Filger, do you not remember me? 'Twas I whom you found in Dravania. I who glimpsed the truth. The truth about your past. About Shiva.
Do not speak her name, mortal.
But speak it I must. I have summoned Shiva's soul from the beyond and offered myself as her vessel. She has made her heart known to me.
That ain't how it works. Foolish girl, thinkest thou my beloved spirit hath descended from the heavens? Sweet.
I have surrendered mine to her. Do you not see, my love? I am Shiva reborn.
Gullible fool, that the light but illuminated the past for thee. It did not grant the omniscience. Asians are weird. Thou spirit has summoned belongs not to Shiva. 'Tis but a shade conjured by thy own fancy. In an age-long past, my own kin were guilty of like folly. Beguiled by the Dark Ones, lies they attempted to resurrect the king amongst worms. Yet the divinity they called forth merely borrowed the semblance of my fallen brood brother. So this is like an example of, I think this is a really good demonstration of retconning versus recontextualization. So for instance, it's made very clear we don't fully understand primals, right? And so you think, oh, she's summoning Shiva. Like that, everyone's acting like that's what she's doing. And the fact that it changes in Heavensward is not because they're retconning it. It's because within the world, not everyone has full awareness of the totality of everything and may be mistaken about it. And it's important to remember that like 2.0 and 2.x and 3.0 were all written by the same person, as far as I know. I know 2.x and 3.0 were. So like it was the same person knowing where they were going and writing it, and that was the plan. So that is like a recontextualization as opposed to a retroactive continuity. Such gods are not summoned but created, phantoms spun from the threads of misplaced faith.
Then the spirit that answered me
was but the dream of Shiva. Thy soul hath been corrupted by the deity of thine own making, child. Artemis, I don't think that's one in specific. People do a whole bunch, but this is really demonstrative of the point. Because that's how they tend to deal with it.
Izel's desire to heal the rift between man and dragon is real, and it has borne us this far. We would spare both our kind and yours the ravages of this senseless war. Pray join your voice to ours in a call for peace and forgiveness.
The tale of thy kind is one of avarice, treachery, and death, and thou wouldst speak to me of peace. Hark thee, mortal, to the naked truth, then tell me thou deservest forgiveness. 1,200 years ago, my beloved Shiva's sacrifice served to bring an end to the war twixt man and dragon, paving the way for an age of peace and cooperation. Congratulations, that's the only image we have of Ratatoskr. Okay, that's not true. We have one other image. 2 centuries of harmony were to follow, during which time the Eorzean learned much about us, not least that the eyes of the great worm are the wellspring of his strength. 'Twas out of the selfish desire to possess the strength that King Thordan then conspired to undo all that our people had achieved together. With the aid of his leal knights, the most noble of Eorzean lured my brood sister Ratatoskr into an ambush, and took from her that which she craved. Fain would I strike the image from my mind, yet still the scene doth linger, of my brood sister's tattered corpse, defiled by her Eorzean allies. They had torn out her eyes and feasted upon them in the manner of wild beasts. That's the thing that's interesting. Specifying that means to me, I think they might have actually consumed them. Because of that specific, torn out our eyes and feasted upon them in the manner of wild beasts, right? Yet that was not all. From their bloody banquet, the fiend had gained strength beyond that of mortal men. Even now I labor to comprehend the enormity of their betrayal. Nidhogg was first to learn of the atrocity, and he took to the skies, hungry for vengeance. But though he slew Thordan and some few of his knights and their fellow butchers knew only too well where to aim their spears, and with now practiced savagery, they set upon my broodmother, sending him flailing from the field. Such is the truth the Holy See would keep hidden. Such was the beginning of the Dragonsong War. 'Tis a song my kind shall ne'er forget, even should 10,000 years pass and Ishgard crumble into dust.
Your tale bears scant resemblance to the one I was taught. How convenient that it should absolve your kind of all responsibility. But tell me, dragon, why should I believe your version of events?
What thou choosest to believe is immaterial. The betrayal that yet haunts mine every waking moment is no less than the truth to my kind. And Nidhogg meaneth for Thordan's people to suffer for this sin till the end of days. That which thou imagines a war of extinctions, but a punishment, a siege of the spirit. Hast thou not seen those who would tire of the torment? Those who abandon their own and side with dragonkind?
Ishgard's so-called heretics.
Know that all the traitors' progeny bear a trace of Ratatoskr's essence, but a single sip of her blood is enough to awaken it.
Then, the seed lies within us.
'Tis for this reason that those who abandon their loyalties are rewarded with a drink, and thus they are transformed to join the ranks of Nidhogg's ever-growing army as newborn dragons. One by one, through death or defection, my broodbrother shall account for all the betrayer's children.
Ye gods, I have borne witness to such a transformation. Looked on as a heretic assumed the shape of a dragon. I imagined it some manner of Dravanian enchantment. But if any Ishgardian, regardless of allegiance, has such potential within them, 12 forgive us. To think of all the dragons we've slain.
Seeing as they're conscious beings, I'm not sure why that's any different than slaying a person, but okay. There will always be some, of course, who choose to fight until the bitter end, like thee, Dragoon. But struggle as thou might, thy youthful vigor will be spent ere thou reaches 210. Then Nidhogg shall remain to torment thine offspring.
Oft have I wondered why Nidhogg did not simply raze Ishgard to the ground. Now I have my answer. He has no intention of winning the Dragonsong War, for it is no war at all.
Far
but
crueler.
vengeance. An eternal requiem sung for his murdered sister.
Doesn't work like WoW. I realize that like the
I have not come this far only to admit defeat. We can still return the eye to Nidhogg and beg forgiveness for our ancestors' crimes.
I understand using
words
WoW
will sway him.
as a touchstone, but like it still doesn't work in 14 because of like the metaphysiology of like there aren't dragon kin. Like the thing is that they are loosely what you could associate with dragon kin, but the thing is that it's not halfsies, it's still wholesale dragons, because dragons is an encompassing category, including a lot of different kinds of people. A lot of creatures. Stubborn child, thou thinkest in mortal terms. Our perception of time is too broad for thee to grasp. 'Tis a simple matter for thee to offer thine apologies. Thou didst not perpetrate the crime. Despite thy visions, the deeds of history seem too distant to thee. See, but you say that, Tethys, but if I'm not mistaken, he literally says... Transform to join the ring. Tis for the reason those who abandon their loyalties are rewarded with the drink, and they are transformed to join the ranks of Nidhogg's ever-growing army as newborn dragons. So, like, he does specifically. Now, maybe it's still poetic license. So, like, I'm not, you know, we'll see if there's also more entries on an E1 or 2 too. But he does technically say that they are dragons. For a worm such as Nidhogg, however, that history is yet part of his presence, as fresh as the blood that did gush from Ratatoskar's wounds. How could he not be driven mad? Tis only by claiming the embrace of Shiva's soul that mine own fury hath not consumed me. But let us speak no more of what is done. My faith in your kind is spent, and I would be alone. Yeah, no, Rin, I'm not trying to say you're saying that worked the way. I'm just saying, like, the problem is, like, even using that as a touchstone for this, like, becomes difficult because it's, like, the answer is yes to both and no to both at the same time, which is why it's, like, even as a touchstone, it becomes, I understand. But I would avoid using WoW in general because a lot of times there are, things about the metaphysics that operate in such a way that, like, you could say, like, this falls under both categories of what you're trying to compare it to. Yeah, but the ones we saw before in the Akka Amphitheater didn't turn to dragons, or was one was a wyvern to say. Yeah, so they're still, remember that wyverns are still a type of dragon, so like if they're a subsect of dragons. So if we go to, what page is this? It should be a little, I think it's actually further in. Primals should be before this. Yeah, dragons. So the thing is that physical characteristics, so like literally there's dragonettes going into dragon and elder dragon, wyverns, lesser dragons, carapace dragons, but like those are all classified under the category of dragons. But let's see also if let's check in to like the spoken section or something and see if they like fall under a categorization there that might give us some information. Chimeras, maybe classified as chimera? No, probably not. I guess chimera is typically pretty specific to Alag. Void Scent. Nope. No, not Ashen Soulkin. Spoken. Here we go. Ah, here we go. Siricta. Siricta are also born from men who would dare sip of the blood of dragons, but have for some unknown reason developed into something physically quite different from the Avis. The Holy See claims the difference to be a direct correlation with the amount of mortal sin
bearded by the soul of the transformed. However, naturalists stress that it has been more likely to do with the concentration of Ratatosker's essence presence in their transformed blood. So, because of that, you've also got the Avis. During the 1,000 Years' War with the Dragons, Ishgardians stumbled upon a dark secret. It seemed that some men, upon partaking in dragon's blood, would be granted the ability to transform into a hideous chimerical hybrid. In time, that these aberrations would come to be called Avises, a word taken from the Eorzean, meaning the devil who flies. Recent revelations have shown that transformation is not a matter of chance, but is more likely to occur in those who claim lineage with the great Ishgardian heroes who have consumed the Eye of Ratatosker, ever tainting their bloodline. So it's always worth remembering that EE1-2 is a very, like, not just biased source, but incomplete source. So, for instance, like, Avis and Siricta, like, Avis is designated as being a chimera as well, but it's in spoken rather than chimera. So the thing is, certain walls break down. Whether or not you want to classify them as dragons, I would say that if a great worm is classifying them as a dragon, at that point, I think we should too. You know. And to your point earlier, Rin, about whether or not they're immortal, is like there's a lot of evidence. This happens a lot in 14, and I would recommend this to everyone. This happens a lot in 14, where there's quite a bit of evidence to suggest one thing, and multiple characters saying we believe it's this way. But there's also some ancillary evidence to be like, it's a little more complicated than that for, like, the age of... So, like, for instance, the other thing worth remembering about Ascians opposed to Ancients is that Ascians are just their souls, right? They don't have physical form. Now, one might argue then that if an Ancient can change their physical form is kind of ancillary to their existence anyways, and so that would still hold true. But it's just unclear whether we should assume that it is identical. And I would assume that it is identical. And I would operate under the assumption that they are immortal. But there are some lines that are weird about implying that perhaps there's more to it than that. Night, Rin. So what would be classified as Dravanians, or is that generic name for all the dragons? I would say Dravania is anyone who lives in Dravania. That's what I would... Dravanians to me is any being that lives in Dravania. I would classify the people of Tailfeather to be Dravanians. I would think you'd still call them Dravanians. That's my definition, though. We can see if the Encyclopedia User 1 has anything on the Dravanian section that might actually... If it says that specifically about Tailfeather, that will give us a good inkling that I'm on the right track with that. Central Highlands, Dravanian Forelands. Tailfeather. Founded by hunters who came to the frontiers in hopes of snaring the wild chocobos of the forest, the settlement and those who call it home are shielded by the eyes of the dragons. No. Nestled in the eastern corner of the Dravanian Foreland, the chocobo forest home is wealth of flora and fauna shielded from the eyes of the dragon. No. Here, let's look up a sec. Like, let's get the, friends from our travels, because if we look at one of the Dravanians, it'll tell us. The thing is, I'm not seeing anything specifically denoting dragons as singularly toward Dravanians. Although, under what I'm saying, the Mughals technically would be considered Dravanians too, which might be weird. Marsham. You complained when Marchamp and Ellison of 41 years took charge of the unruly band of rough-spun trappers who make Tailfeather their home, for his skill with a lasso had already earned him the silent respect of even the eldest chocobo hunter. It is rumored that it was Marchamp who founded Ysael, former leader of the Dravanian heretics. So, well, that's interesting. They're Dravanian heretics, but that doesn't necessarily mean they could still be dragon heretics. After a fission would ultimately lead to them just summoning. Yeah. I don't have anything here that gives us more specification, though we might get some in the game if we do side quests. The channel has been a great ad for the encyclopedias. I'm probably getting physical copies of both next tax season. I cannot recommend them enough. They're both wonderful books. I hope we get an EE3, and I'm starting to worry the fact that that EE1, this is not a revised edition. The fact that there's all the same errors as there, well, not errors, but like typos and stuff, makes me think, ooh, that makes an EE3 less likely.
but hopefully. Race Filger was every bit as awe-inspiring as I imagined. His voice faintly dripped with power, the will behind his words so undeniable that it transcended my ignorance of the dragon's tongue. Just but a pity that I misliked what he said. So far did we travel, even unto the very heavens themselves, only to be dismissed like unruly children. And far from mitigating this humiliation, the hidden truths we've learned serve only to prove that our grand mission of peace was destined to fail from the first. Nothing will deter Nidhogg from his course. Let me talk to Ysael first. What false gods is this Shiva? What manner of phantom have I welcomed into my heart? As predicted, Iceheart's faith in the worm was misplaced, which leaves us but one recourse. You know I have the right of it, Warrior of Light. He's not wrong. Nidhogg does have to be stopped.
Well, what do you propose we do now? I, for one, am intent on continuing to the east.
What is there to be found in the east?
Nidhogg's lair, the Eyrie, is said to lie in that direction. And the eye tells me he is near.
You cannot still mean to slay him.
You cannot still mean to stop me. I have been true to my word, and aided you in this fool's errand with Hraesvelgr. But your efforts at parley have come to naught, Lady Iceheart. I would see Ishgard saved, and for that, Nidhogg must die.
With the tale of our ancestors' vile betrayal yet ringing in your ears, you speak of continuing this war?
Nay,
He speaks of ending
lady,
it.
I would but pierce its vengeful heart. When Nidhogg dies, this war shall die with him.
A moment, Estinian. You yourself spoke of the Great Worm's strength, that you believed him powerful enough to raise your city to the ground. How then are we few to challenge him? Even behind the stout walls of Ishgard, with an army of knights manning the defenses, our victory would be hard won. Yet you propose to contend with the beast in his own lair.
Interesting. Thanks,
In
Tethys.
close combat, this will afford us an advantage. And with two Azure Dragoons working in unison, who can say what might be possible? But such speculation is meaningless if we cannot even find the worm. Our first task must be to seek out Nidhogg's lair.
The story of this nation grows bloodier by the moment. Must death always be answered with more of the same?
Such is the way of things, I fear. I shall consider it a miracle if mine armor is not stained crimson ere this conflict is ended.
My friends, that's called foreshadowing.
That I should be blinded by my own lies. Everything I believed, everything I thought I was, gone. All gone.
Leave her. Your words will not reach her now. And we have not the time to wait for her to gather up the pieces of her shattered faith.
Oh. Is that the line you were talking about, Tethys? Because if so, he's right, but also, oh.
Give a super chat, make Elio say mentions. Any voice, not with extra funny voices. Oh my god, we're gonna get to Innistrad! We're gonna get to Innistrad! I'm gonna to do this so much, it's gonna be fun!
What false gods is this Shiva? What manner of phantom have I welcomed into my heart? Yup. He's not wrong. I honestly, like, to be frank, in that moment, I don't even want to say, like, harsh but true, because, like, honestly, I don't think it matters to Ysael what he said in that moment, right? So I don't think he's, like, he's not, because he's just like, look, leave her, we can't, yeah. I don't think there's a kind version that would have been better.
Wait, what was the line? I was too busy making a dragon fucker joke and didn't hear it. Estinian's line about here. Actually, I have it in a PC dialogue. Leave her. Your words will not reach her now, and we have not the time to wait for her to gather up the pieces of her shattered faith. It's okay, Usail. I'm also sad when a giant dragon daddy just don't love me. Oh, demands. Oh, wait, we still have to get the mana cutter. I was about to say, like, oh, we're almost there. And then I realized, right, we have to go do the mana cutter stuff. Am I crazy? Do the Mughals come back in 3.x in any way? I feel like the only time that the Mughals and Churning Mist come back is in tribal quests and like quests around it. Am I crazy on that one? Does anyone know? True, but brutal. Yeah. I don't know, like, man, I'm usually like, fucker, you don't have to be that harsh. Like, I'm the first one to be like that. With that one, I'm like, I don't even know that that was harsh. Because I don't know that, like, any other framing of it would have been more helpful or useful to Ysael. I don't think coddling or being... Also, no spoilers for the details of what I'm about to ask, but is this the last time we see her until Azys Lla? There's Lolly! It's one of my favorite mounts, the Mana Cutter. It's a great mount. Yeah, the tribal quest line. Yeah, so it's just the tribal quest line. Interesting. That's the other thing is, like, so the other thing that's really important about the trolley stuff, like, Tracy, is remember that that's a setup for the Talos. And that the idea of a Talos becomes very important later on in Shadowbringers, both in 5.x, but also heading towards the climax of 5.0. And it becomes hyper-relevant then, right? So, like, that's what I mean by, like, it becomes used later as well. So, like, if the Mughals, let's say, helped us end the Dragonsong War or get to Azys Lla because we needed them in order to ride certain winds or something, like, you know, then it's like, okay, they're coming back in some element, you know, just some element. And it's not like I hate it. It's just like an interest. To me, it's an observation of how they've improved in the storytelling of uniting factors that, like, there's not, even if the story is slowing down, the story, starting with Stormblood, in my opinion, is always putting to multiple uses everything it's doing for, like, it's never going to show you something and it not be relevant towards something later. That doesn't mean that, like, the Mughals can't just be an element in and of themselves. You know, it's not bad, it's just less efficient. They also pat back up with Dark Knight, but I don't remember Mughals more than MSQ. Yeah. Am I wrong, though? Is that... Yeah, that is the Mog almost. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, no, that's the key thing. Like, it's not to say that they don't use it as an element, right? Because the tribal quests are phenomenal. The tribal quests are a brilliant use of them. The use of them in the Dark Knight quest is humorous in a way that's appropriate, right? So it's not to say that, like, oh, it's an element that's never used for any context ever. But just, like, if we're thinking about just efficiency of narrative storytelling in MSQ. You also have to consider, right, like, the job that has to be done for each thing. Because, like, for instance, part of the reason you get certain aspects of lab is the way it is also because you need the catharsis of specific characters at specific times. But if you just do catharsis without proper setup for the payoff, it doesn't work. So Labyrinthos helps elevate multiple characters, the perspective around certain father figures, the father figure themselves. Also, there's other pre-setup for second Labyrinth. Yeah, it's just like, it's, yeah. Hey, Filger's Trial Dungeon. Oh, are they a part of that? They are a
Is
part of that?
that it?
Okay. Why is this voiced but the campfire scene wasn't voiced? Like, don't get me wrong, this is nice that it's voiced, but like, really? Did it like come about late in development or something?
Aye, that would be the Airy. I feel Nidhogg's presence through the eye, his caustic hatred gnawing at my soul. 'Twould seem the death of his consort has put him on guard. Mark how he wards his lair with tempestuous winds.
Sweet. That's 3.1, right?
A similar barrier once barred our entrance to the primal Garuda's domain, until we discovered the means by which it could be penetrated.
Or 3.2. It's 3.1 or 3.2. Oh no, maybe that's 3.3, isn't it? Because that's when you
Mayhap
ride
it
to
is
battle
time
after
we called
that.
upon Master Garland. It will be just like the good old days, no?
3.1 to 3.3 blurs together in my brain. It's like one of the things that I don't have like delineated at all. I'm excited to get back to it. A force of sufficient power to break through a primal's defense might conceivably grant us access to the area. And I can offer no better solution. Pray, consult this engineer friend of yours. Oh, that was his name. Very well, on the condition that you swear not to lure Nidhogg from his lair in our absence. And steal all the glory for myself, you mean? Nay, I am not so selfish as to contact me Contact me by link pearl when your preparations are complete, and we shall set forth from Ishgard together. I suggest we rendezvous back at St. Rene's Forum, Elio. From what I've gleaned of Holy Sea's decidedly ambitious airship project, said it will still be in Ishgard. How the fuck does you use a link pearl? Like, his ear has like its own slot. Like, is it in his ear beneath the armor? I also love the idea that Elezen ears are so fucking long that they have to like have a slot for them in their own fucking Dragoon armor. What is the 3.1 through 3.3 trial dungeons? No, give me a second. No one say it. Well, you can say it, but I'm gonna not look. I'm gonna, Anti-Tower. That's probably 3.1, right? Because Anti-Tower, Great Google Library, and not some all. What is it? It's the Filger trial one. Shh, link pearls are magic. Don't think about them. Hey, they work. They make sense if you explain them. Imagine folding your ear to fit inside a metal box. Right, Ruth? Fucking right. Link pearls are just organic radios. I mean, they make sense. Like, that's the thing is, you're literally putting a pearl in your ear. So I guess it could have sat in there. But then it's also weird that he holds it to it because it's already being held in there. So he just permanently has a link pearl in his ear when his head's in his armor. When last you saw Master Garland, he was advising the Ishgardians on their ailing airship, correct? In that case, he might still be at Camp Cloudtop. Failing that, we could try the airship landing, or mayhap even the Skysteel manufactory. But let's not waste time searching aimlessly. Someone in the city is sure to know where to find him. The question is who? Sir Airmerk would seem the obvious choice, but there's no guaranteeing he'll be able to grant us an audience at short notice. Ah, I have it. Count Edmond's youngest son prides himself on knowing all the Holy Sea's juiciest rumors. Let us return to the manor and see if Lord Emmanuelane is about. Ishgard's not that big. Let's just go to we're right by the Skysteel manufactory. The last time we were there. Okay. Fine. Fine. Fine, Alfino, fine. Oof. Yeah, definitely gonna call it after Harry. Night, Tracy. Thanks for joining us. It's Anti-Tower and Sorokai. That's 6.1 or the 3.1 and 3.2, but is also Great Google in there? Is that those the three for 1.1.2 and 0.3? And is it Anti-Tower then Google then Kai, or is it Google then Anti-Tower then Kai? I think Anti-Tower's 3.1. Am I wrong? I'm sure you'll let me know. Ah, hello there. Our hero returns. How goes to the fight, old boy? Well, I trust. In search of Sid Garland, you say? Then say no more. The taverns are full of talk in the name of the said silver-haired genius. There are more definitions. Silver-haired, not technically classified as silver-haired, not white. Has cropped up more often than most. I hear he has been tasked with getting that monstrous airship the Holy See commissioned to actually fly. It would seem that the project has been plagued with mishap from the first. In any case, Garland Ironworks employees are known to frequent the airship landings, and I'll wager their master does too. The airship landings, yes, I thought as much. Come, Elio, we must find Sid and trouble him for his expert opinion. Gooble's before Azislaw. Is it? Holy moly. That's what happens when you don't play Heavensward at all in 3 years. So what's the other one? So Sorkai, what, is 3.3? Am I wrong? Anti-Tower's what? 3.1? I want to see if I can try to remember this. Because isn't Zephlotol 3.4? Because the Dragonsong War... Do you go from Zephlotol? No, because Zephlotol is dealing with the Warriors of Darkness, and that's all 3.4, isn't it? And then 3.5 is Baelsar's Wall. Yep, just say Google. Zephlotol after 3.3. Yeah, Zephlotol is 3.4. I definitely know that. Okay, cool. Thanks for doing the work for this, guys. I'm just going to look up MSQ. I just want to, like... It's funny. I probably could do literally every other one. I don't know why 3.x is blurring together so much. I think it's probably because I'm so used to thinking about the story beats rather than the actual content. Because I went through... Like, there are some dungeons I've only ever done a couple times. Zephlotol, Sorkai for 3.3, Anti-Tower for 3.2. Oh, no! 3.1 just doesn't have one. You were right. Okay. I should have been listening to you closer, Artemis. That's so weird that 3.1 doesn't have one. I guess that's just a norm that grew up after that. There's just not one for the 3.x patch, just pre 3.3. Well, Anti-Tower is 3.2. According to this, Anti-Tower the Anti-Tower is 3.2. 3.1 has none. 3.2 is Anti-Tower. 3.3 is Sorkai. Then Zephlotol for 3.4. Baelsar's Wall for 3.5. That's at least according to the wiki. Yeah, it's bizarre. So weird. I mean, I guess like they were constantly refining and hitting their stride. Like 2.x isn't quite like how things are, you know, later, but it's kind of like it. 3.x is a little bit more like how we have things now, and then by 4.x it's like it's the proper beats, you know. I mean, even by Heavensward, they're doing the 0.1 to 0.3 is epilogue, and then 0.4, 0.5 is setup. So, and we've continued to do that, but it seems like 6.x might be weird too. Elio, Alfino, how fare you both? Not terribly well, judging by your faces. Greetings, Master Garland. I'm sure it will come as a little surprise when I tell you we have need of a favor. Another wine barrier, and you say it was conjured by Nidhogg. The Enterprise would certainly take you where you would need to go, but she would not fare well against dragons. She's agile for her shipper size, but not that agile. The Dravanians would fly rings around her. Also specifying that the Dravanians, I mean, like, I think we're going with Tethys. I want to look more into that page 68 passage, but I think you're probably right that it's not Dravanians in general. It's definitely more specifically dragonkind. And if they took it into their heads to incinerate the rigging, there would be precious little we could do to avoid them. But there must be something we could do, some manner of weapon we could employ. Estinian stands vigil at the edge of the turning mist, but we do not know how much longer. All right. I didn't say it was impossible. I said it was impossible for the Enterprise. We need a smaller boat. Biggs, Wedge, it's time we give that new toy of yours a proper field test. Aye, aye, Captain. It's probably best if we let the lads show you. Come on, the manufactory's not far. See, this is like an interesting thing. I realize that you gotta remind people of like Emmanuel and stuff, but like, why not just have us be like, we should go check out the Sky Steel manufacturer and just have us meet him there? You know, like, what was the benefit of this? Like, and it's a genuine question. Like, if anyone has any thoughts on it, like, is it just like being reminded of Emmanuel and his awareness of gossip? Like, what was the function to which we bothered having to do all this faffing? I mean, it's not a bunch of faffing. It's like 5 seconds of faffing, so it's not a big problem. But it's like, I'm just looking at the places where things could be tightened because there's no gain. The Ishgardians have granted us the use of a small corner of their workshop as part of their agreement. I think you'll see we've made the most of the space. Ah, yes, the Skysteel Manufactory. As I recall, the workshop is primarily devoted to the construction of dragon-slaying weapons. Okay. That was interesting. Aye, our little project's just inside. Oh, you're going to like this one.
Feast your eyes upon our latest and greatest feat of engineering. We call it a mana cutter.
Why is this voice but not the camp scene?
After you put down Gaius, Wedge and me struck out on our own for a bit, and started work on the successor to the tiny Bronco.
Impressive little thing, isn't she? My talent for ship design has plainly rubbed off on them. They've adapted the principles of corrupted crystal technology and constructed a mechanism which converts ether from its surroundings into elemental wind. Said wind is then harnessed by the specially engineered sails, providing the craft with propulsion and lift. All in all, a most elegant solution. I'm actually a little upset that I didn't think of it myself.
A lot of Lalas be like that, Cathra.
The design does, however, come with one small flaw.
The energy conversion ratio's bloody awful. To generate enough power to get you off the ground, you need to be in an area awash with predominantly wind-aspected ether.
In other words, there are a few places you can fly, lots of places you can't.
A lot of how they
The
used
new
to
Ishgardian
justify why it
airship
couldn't
hasn't
fly
left the
in
boys much time for tinkering,
Eorzean.
meaning it may be a while before this particular project takes off, if you'll forgive the pun.
I say Eorzean, I mean the non-Dravania, non.
Tataru, what's happened?
I've been looking all over for you. There's been word from Aldar. It's about Her Grace, the Sultana.
It seems you're required elsewhere. Leave the mana cutter with us. We'll see that she's airworthy and suitably equipped to slice through those winds. You, meanwhile, should concentrate on providing Rauban and the Sultana whatever help they need.
This is also a good example of mechanical canonicity in that, like, the original initially tried to justify why certain mounts could fly and why others, and why some could fly some places and others, and that now they've just basically defaulted to, don't worry about if something can fly. It can fly because it's fun to have it able to fly, and don't worry about its canonicity. Well, General Raban says that he may have uncovered the Sultana's whereabouts, and he wants you, by which I mean both of you, to go to the Waking Sands right after and help with the investigation. Come, Elio, Alfino. Come, Elio, pressing though Ishgard's plight may be, our presence here will not serve to hasten the Manicutter's completion. Let's return to the troubled lands of Thanlin and lend what aid we may. Tataru, have our friends of the congregation send a message to Asinian. Tell him we have identified a solution to our problem that it will take some time to prepare. As you wish, Master Alfino. To the Waking Sands, Warrior of Light. 'Tis past time Ul'dah was delivered from this darkness. I gotta get going. See you, Deathberry. Thanks for joining in. Are you telling me my flying elephant isn't canon? I'm telling you your flying elephant is probably not canon. That is correct. I know it hurts. Oh, actually, I might still have some. Dope. Every time I forget your Tataru voice, every time it smacks me anew. In a good way or a bad way? Good? Question mark, question mark. I really am starting to think that fireside scene was added late in development.
No thanks are necessary, General. I trust your recuperation continues apace.
I cannot complain. Thanks to Hygirian administrations, I've regained much of the strength I lost during my imprisonment.
I gather you have made progress in the search for Her Grace.
Aye, some good fortune at last. A few days past, Dulala informed us that a sizable shipment of alchemical supplies had been delivered to the palace.
Ray, remind me to glam.
With Papa Shan's assistance, I set out to ascertain the source and nature of the shipment. My inquiries led me to Frondale's frontistery. There, I learned that an order had been placed for a curious substance designed to sustain patients trapped in death-like slumber. An invention of the former head alchemist, apparently.
A death-like slumber? This cannot be a coincidence.
It lends some weight to Dulala's claims, aye. Her Grace is likely somewhere within the palace, abed but alive.
Before making any attempt to extricate the Sultana, however, it seemed prudent to learn what manner of substance was used to induce her torpor. To that end, I made inquiries as to the whereabouts of the one most like to have administered it, the lady-in-waiting, Meriel. We sent for you as soon as we learned of her location. All that remains is to apprehend the woman.
We shall find our cat's paw in the Silver Bazaar. But we must tread carefully. The market is not the bustling place it once was, and someone is sure to mark our coming. Should they inform the monetarists, we'll have a fight on our hands. We must be prepared for the worst, and being short an arm, I thought it wise to take another in its stead. What say you, Warrior of Light? Will you lend me yours?
Aye.
Then I pity the bastard that stands in our way. Come, my friend. For Nanamo, and for Ul'dah!
You heard him here. Rabban pities the fool. There's one thing I want to look up. Damn it. Nope. Don't worry, Dim. I still believe you're in flying elephant. Oh, I believe in it. I just don't know if I believe it's canon. Our target is Meriel, the Sultana's former lady-in-waiting, a woman of Midlander heritage. I am told the two of you have met. Our sources indicate that she has left the palace shortly after the incident and quietly rejoined the dwindling population of the Silver Bazaar. I suggest we begin by questioning the market's residents and confirm that Meriel is still hiding there. Oh, I forgot we haven't done that yet, have we? I must have just rewatched that cutscene recently, like a couple weeks ago or something. Oh wait, we can fly! We can fly! We can fly! That's so convenient! Raban is the scary kind of sexy, that kind you're afraid to approach because you know the kind of things he'll do to you to violate the Geneva Connection. Look, all I know is that Raban's pretty good at making you half the man you think you are. We also know, if we know one thing about Raban, it's we know that our boy is a little bit sloppy. Oh, this dick. Do I know any of your returning residents? Gods, don't tell me they're starting to come back. The masters will not be pleased to hear this. Ban him. But
And what brings you to our lonely little hamlet? I believe that arrival of our entourage just about doubled our population. Looking for Mariel, you say? If you're happening to lure him back to Ul'dah, you may as well give up now. The girl's done with the city life.
Mods, ban this man. What did I do? Why was that a road too far? Now all you guys use the fucking Ray ban emote. Come at me. Now, let's do this. Fine, you do this. I want some of you fight with the ban, some of you fight with Sloppy. I want to know which wins. Oh, Decoy! Thanks for being an Archon. But what Decoy decides the fate? Will Decoy ban or will Decoy Sloppy?
Mariel, aye, she's here. Left the city for good, she says. Barely leaves her house, though.
It's one of the closest to the market entrance. Who's ready to see angry Raban? I'm about to show you scary Raban. Oh yeah, there's Dulal. Demins. Here are your two options, Demins.
Gobby boom!
No ban, no sloppy, only gobby booms. A happy medium. Let us gather all the players together. This has gone on long enough. I think that's supposed to be 3 legs, not 3 feet. Why am I getting the ban when Tethys is the one who's fucking going ham?
You are Mariel, the Sultana's former lady-in-waiting?
Where's her courage, the cowardly dog? That's Muriel, but...
I know no one of that name. Pray excuse me.
Bitch, I might.
General Alden.
Now you're just getting weird. That's actually said Alden instead of Aldine. It shifts from person to person.
We will have the truth from you, girl.
Mayhap it would be better coming from me.
Oh, Lolorito.
Lolorito, you'd best talk fast.
As you know, Teleji Adeleji's Cartano reclamation bill was no more than a facade. A means to get his grubby little hands on that Allagan monstrosity Omega. When he learned of Nanamo's intention to abdicate, however, he was forced to amend his plans. Suddenly, assassination seemed the most promising way to further his ambitions. I am told Teleji had discovered a maid in whose veins ran the blood of House Thorn.
A new, more pliable puppet to sit the throne. 'Twould have caused an uproar, of course, but few could have contested her claim.
I mean, they did abdicate, and they were only ever stewards, so...
'Twas plain that Telegi's wild machinations had outgrown our ability to control them. So I decided to usurp his scheme, and left the fool to seal his own demise.
And what of Nanamo?
Oh, I have no desire to harm her grace. 'Twould profit me little to destabilize our government. Thus did I employ young Mariel here to administer a potent sleeping potion in place of a poison.
Just keep feeding him endless goppy cheese.
You should know, General, that your dear friend Ilberd was fully aware of my plan. I had him lie about the assassination as a means to prime your rage against Telegi. We weren't entirely sure how you would react, but things went rather better than expected.
Okay, Lolorito, you are a dick.
You conniving little worm. You had your claws in the Crystal Braves before their first recruit had sworn to serve!
But of course, when a new game begins, 'tis only prudent to have a piece on the board. Ilberd was mine. Truth be told, a significant proportion of the Braves' initial endowment was also mine. With such large sums moving about, 'twas a rather trifling matter to disguise my own contribution. Ah, Ilberd. I secured his services with a promise to support his cause once my authority had been solidified. I swear, the man thinks of naught but prizing Alamigo from the grasp of the Empire. Unlike you, General, the poor fellow seems quite unable to forsake the land of his forefathers. Mayhap that's why he called you a traitor to your people and a disgrace to your homeland, amongst other things. What was it he always compared you to? Oh, yes, an overgrown lapdog begging for scraps at the Sultana's table. Oh, how we laughed. Alas, Ilberd's entertaining little outbursts eventually gave way to wearisome tirades, and the zealous brute became rather unruly. I had no wish to see you executed, you understand, but he would not take no for an answer. Rest assured, his employment with me has long since ended. Which brings us neatly to the present. What say you, General? Both you and the Sultana are alive. We have one corpse and one fugitive. And preparations have been made to restore your good name. Shall we cry quits and start again with a blank ledger?
I think that's a perfect voice actor for
The
fucking
hells we will! Do you honestly expect me to forgive and forget? After all you've done? You're guilty of high treason!
Stay your blade, Master Alden. You
Man, fuck
yourself
you,
are
Lala.
not innocent. Or have you forgotten your own crime in executing Telegi Adeleji without trial?
That's horseshit, because it's effectively still almost... Effectively, the man's trying to be... capture him and execute him. Effectively, what he did could be argued to be self-defense. This is why I hate Dulala, because Dulala is the impartial, like, mediator. That's the role that she's supposed to occupy. But, like, the thing is that all she ever does is fucking make sure the status quo is maintained, and it's just horseshit.
Though you acted out of loyalty to the Sultana, such deeds are in violation of both the word and spirit of the law.
Definitely not the spirit. No.
If you would, Lord Lolorito?
This potion will wake the Sultana from her slumber.
Yeah.
Consider
Yes, Decoy,
it
you're
a
right.
gesture of conciliation. You will find her grace resting comfortably within her private chambers. Should you doubt my word, I shall willingly accompany you to the palace as your hostage.
When one side's to conserve and one side's progress, if you're trying to be equilateral between them, you're often trying to some extent, must be trying to conserve.
I like not your motives, Lolorito. But you saved the Sultana's life, and for that, you have my gratitude.
Honestly, it's not even revenge, but I also just love how much Nanamo learns to play the fucking game. And is able to beat him at his own game.
Rauban Aldin, you are hereby reinstated as General of the Immortal Flames. The citizens of Ul'dah shall once more be united under Nanamo Ul'Namo, and together we shall usher in a new age of prosperity.
I got a lot to read after this, don't I? Honestly, that cutscene, well, I mean, I'm glad Alfina was there, I am, but also you could have also just had that meanwhile somewhere else and still done that cutscene. If he looks like Emilia, Now there are worse punishments for Lolorito. Take all his money and holdings, make him wait tables in the quicksand for a living. That'll hit him where it really hurts. Yep. Yes. I can think of no worse curse than to force someone to work the service industry when they're used to wealth. I like how after the blood and mayhem, Lolorito's like, well, that went better than expected. To be fair, for him, it basically did. Lolorito is just constantly asking to find out what his digestive tract looks like on the outside. Would kill to see Lolorito answer to Momodi. However, if it had been the Warrior of Light about halfway through the little speech, I'd have incinerated him and then asked Dulala if she wanted some too. My Warrior of Light looks out. Look out, spider! Death flare centered on Dulala and Lolorito. What? You didn't see the spider? Still think that they'd hold him upside down, drop kick him over the nearest goalpost. A bit of brain damage might be good for his soul. Gonna beat up Lolorito and take his lunch money and shoes. By the 12, I feared Lolorito's arrival would herald another bloodbath. Little did I suspect that he of all people would gift us the means to rouse the Sultana. Shall we also make our way to Ul'dah? I should imagine Bartholomew has been instructed to admit us. Hey, Bartholomew! One of the captain of the Sultana. Well, not the captain of the Sultana's war, but one of the... Oh man, it's so nice to fly. If you ever wonder what these are, they're literally just pounding the ground flat in order to make room for more housing for rich people. They are the Hamalaya. Oh, Ray, I have another thing. I've got another thing we could do that we were talking about earlier. Chamber of Roll. Tell me so don't forget. I still have all these geography videos that I wrote that I never got around to producing, and it's basically just B-roll shots. So it'd be super easy. I'd be able to pass those off to you. Those whole giant structures just for clearing land for rich people? Jesus, yeah. Well, okay, technically they're not just about flattening the land, they're also about stabilizing the land because the soil was too loose, so it's about making it compacted.
Flame General Raban mentioned you might be coming. Please this way, if you will.
For the rich people, not so it's like for think about like monetarists, not for adventurers or others. Also, Goblet's great and nearby. Oh, not Sultana Dreaming. That's the music that they used. Oh, that's so appropriate.
I was having the longest dream.
"'Tis time to wake up, Your Grace. Another day begins in Thanalan, and the sun blazes bright upon the sands.
I'm sorry, like, don't, like, y'all know how I feel about Merlwyn. Like, look, but Nanamo and Raban, like, best leaders, just no question. So fucking good.
Her Grace is awoken. The palace physician assures me she is none the worse for her slumber.
The Lala? You mean Lalafels? I don't think Lalafels are inherently lolly. Like, I think that's something that's applied to them.
I believe Her
don't think
Grace
they're
will soon
treated
resume
like that
their
or
plans to place the government of
coded that
Ul'dah
way.
into the hands of its citizens. Whatever path she chooses to take, I shall walk it with her. And we shall tread slowly, lest the nation be unsettled in our wake.
Her Grace's compassion is a shining beacon to us all. But what our city truly thrives upon is competition. 'Tis in the struggle against our rivals that opportunities are seized and fortunes made. And with the Empire on the offensive once more, now would hardly seem the time to turn our system of government upon its head.
But maybe yet now.
Are you privy to new intelligence, my lord?
You know, his argument being that they're at war.
I would hardly call it new. Remind me, what was the name of that enormous Imperial warship which met its end in Mordona? Wait,
The Agrius!
The Agrius, yes, well. 'Twould appear that the Garleans have been hard at work on another such vessel.
How close are they to completing this ship? Is it operational?
Its maiden flight was a success, I hear. I should imagine Emperor Varys is eager to see how it performs in battle. My lords and lady, I move that it is time to repair the damage caused by Teleji Adeleji and prepare our great nation to repel the Empire once more.
What do you have to benefit from that? Better than building a golf course, I guess. I think the goblet more than most people too. You can get a house between the waterfall and pool. It's wild. I like the goblet a lot.
Tis
as
well
well.
that the Sultana has awoken. The Syndicate yet needs to put its house in order, but 'twould seem the worst of the confusion has passed. Uldar has taken control of its future, and I must do the same. I have decided to disband the Crystal Braves. Among the
Had
recruits,
not already happened?
there were those who supported our order's goals and convictions with all sincerity. 'Tis my hope that these loyal men and women will choose to remain our allies in the battles to come. As for those who sided with the traitor, Ilberd, they shall be hunted down and held to account for their crimes. It is my earnest hope that they will surrender themselves peaceably when the time comes, though I think it unlikely. Ah, my all-conquering Crystal Braves. The model army meant to pave the way for a single unified grand company of Eorzean. That so high an ideal should be brought so low. I need not tell you how deeply the betrayal stung me. Yet I see now that it was mine own naivety and pride which allowed the Braves to fall prey to corruption. As ever, it is to your own shining example that I turn for inspiration. Like you, I mean to stand firm in the face of hardship and give mine all for the cause. Let us resume the search for our missing comrades, that we might come together to shine the light of dawn across the realm once more. The role of Crystal Brave Commander suited me ill, and I shall play it no longer. Henceforth, I shall be no more or less than Alphino, proud member of the Scions.
Aubrey, you're gonna have to make me respond in kind. When Merlin shoots you with your guns in those crafting quests, I'm over here just being like something shooting off gun something Merlin. Nanamo and Raban are the best platonic OTP. Yeah. And I just love that I really love narratives in games that have room for fucking stories with characters that are just not romantic interests but have deep connections. I also sometimes get frustrated with the internet for having to make anytime anyone has a deep connection with another person, it must then automatically be romantic or sexual or...
I blush to speak of thus of mine inner turmoil. But the fact remains there's no man alive whom I'd rather confide were it not for your shining example. I might never emerge from beneath the pall of my despair.
Oh, instead small near waterfall goblet. Nice. Good to see you. Glad to have you, Raiji, by the way.
Still no word from Master Garland. I hope the mana cutter of theirs is near completion. I am assured that her grace will make a full recovery. I, and Uldar too, shall flourish once more. General Raban and his colleagues have matters well in hand, I believe. Lady Ugiri, a question if I may. I believe your people have been keeping a close watch on the Crystal Braves. Might you know how things stand at the Rising Stones? Ah, yes, of course. You will be pleased to know that the 3rd Unit Braves abandoned Revenant's Toll when they learned Captain Ilbert's defeat. The only blue uniforms you'll be seeing there now are those worn by soldiers loyal to you, Master Alphino. To me, I see. I'm grateful to hear that at least some of our members were true to their oaths. Ere we return to Ishgar, we must return to the Rising Stones and thank these stalwarts for their service. It shall be my final act as Crystal Brave Commander. Will you join me, Elio? You were there at the company's inception. It is only fitting that you be present at its end, and I would appreciate the support. Take me, Raban. I am your Sultana. That scene always cracks me up. It's fucking so fucking funny. Get out of here with your unfettered capitalism.
Real Alien. Alien. Oh. Commander, you're alive. Ah, Elio too. I knew you'd scrape through. My splendid Crystal Braves, I have wronged you, all of you. My promises of glory and salvation have brought you naught but blood and betrayal. Bah, no, you'll never hear us complaining. It was a sight messier than expected, aye, but we're still fighting for freedom of all, just like we swore. And ain't that right, mates? Aye. You humble me. I'm truly blessed to have such steadfast comrades. It is with most profound regret then that I must... That's enough of that, Commander. We know that you have mind to say, and we ain't having none of it. We've talked a lot over, and see, we all agreed. You can take our uniforms and strip us of our ranks, but we won't be no less a company. But the Crystal Braves... The Crystal Braves may be finished, but the ideals upon which the company was founded live on. They bind us to each other, and to you. Commander, Alfino, our minds are made up, so you may as well get used to it. Let us help the Scions. Let us help you find Minfilia and the others. My friends, after all that's happened, I know not what to say. Pray excuse me, I had thought my tears spent. My grandfather used to say that one could measure a man by the constancy of his comrades. May I am the exception which proves the rule. Nay, do not protest. I know that I am not worthy of their loyalty, Elio. But as Thaliak is my witness, I shall do everything in my power to earn it. I must speak of future plans with the remaining Braves, and any information we uncover on the missing Scions will need to be shared with our allies across the realm, specifically Eorzean in the Waking Sands and Tataru and Ishgard. While we're organizing our various channels of communication, I would ask that you call upon Master Garland at the Manufactory. I'll join you in Ishgard as soon as I am able. You know, I genuinely thought we might get out early today. However, well, I mean, I guess 6:30 is still probably technically early. Scoo-boo-boo, Elio, how in the seven hells do you do it? I was just about to send for you. We have but this moment completed the Manicutter's first successful test flight. A few minor adjustments and she'll be ready to go. While we see to the finishing touches, you might want to pay a visit to the Fortom's Manor. A dragoon by the name of Estinian was looking for you. And to the manor we go. Thanks for the reminder, guys, that even though I can't put it in, I can do that. That's not a dragoon. That's a fuckboy. Are you talking about Elio or Estinian? Q Jalali? You have fulfilled your obligations to the Uldans, then? Mistress Tataru has been keeping me appraised of the situation. Once I learned that these Manicutters of Master Garland were nearing completion, I saw no reason to tarry in the mists.
For the present, Nidhogg seems content to remain in the area, plotting his revenge. Might not this be an apt moment to unfold our plans to Sir Aymeric, I think. We've been keeping him in the dark long enough. Thank you, Jalali. Estinian? Boring. Forgotten Knights. That's a good glam. Also a good use of female Rogadin. You guys remember when it used to like take time for the text to fade and you to load in? I do. It used to be if you had like even if you had an SSD, like the load times were like about twice as long. And then what was it, 5.4, 5.5, somewhere around there, they did the implemented of the. Sir Aymeric has been eager to speak with you. Pray proceed. New merchandise stores is open. Get stickers of Ray Ray. Also, I'm in the middle of getting new art made for t-shirts, and I'm gonna buy a bunch of my t-shirts, and then I'll have new t-shirts to wear. It'll be good. I believe our lances are of equal girth. They're quite identical.
The moment has come then.
Pray excuse my lateness. I paid a brief visit to the workshop to inquire about the mana cutters. The engineers assure me that they're ready.
The area is now but a short flight away. Yet what a long and winding path we took to reach this point. Were it not for Master Alphino's proposal, we never would have attempted to parley with the dragons. Though our negotiations yielded little, our expedition with Lady Isar taught us much.
You took an unimaginable risk. I could scarce believe the tale Estinian told.
Aye. 'Tis true that many of our countrymen would sooner die than join hands with the heretic's mistress. But 'twas through that most unlikely of alliances that we came to speak with Filger.
I wasn't paying as much attention to it, but now I am Artemis.
That went rather poorly, as I recall.
In this instance, the journey was more important than the destination. Had we not slain Nidhogg's consort, Tiaman, and put the Great Worm on his guard, the Dravanians would have arrived at Ishgard's walls long ago.
Aye, that they would. Full grateful am I for every hour of respite your actions have afforded us. Thanks to you, our defenses are much improved. 'Tis but a pity they won't be enough.
Thus, you believe an assault upon the area represents the city's best chance of survival. Is that not so, Estinian?
I am under no illusions. Nidhogg's might is legendary. But with his eye in my possession, I can stifle his strength at the source. Victory will be hard won, even so. And I shall be glad indeed to have the Warrior of Light at my side.
You shall have my blade as well. There are more of these mana cutters to be had, yes?
Don't say it, Tethys.
Lord Commander, no.
How can I, a proud knight of Ishgard, stand by and do naught while an outsider risks life and limb for our homeland? I swore an oath to protect this city.
Pray leave the slaying of dragons to dragoons, Sir Knight. Your duty to command the city's defense is no less vital. Should we fail, and Nidhogg slip through our grasp, who then will hold the walls against him? Will you leave Ishgard in the hands of the Holy Sea's zealots?
There are
That's
others.
where you come in, Aurora.
Who but you has the authority and the standing to orchestrate a city-wide defense? I do not, and neither does the Warrior of Light. That is why it is our place to fight, and yours to remain here, Lord Commander. What? You too, Master Alphino? By the Fury. You have shown some promise, but this adversary is far beyond your skills.
Your candor is appreciated, Sir Dragoon. I shall remain then and cheer you from afar.
Well, my friend, 'twould seem I have discouraged the last of the volunteers, and claimed the task as ours alone. But if any alive can best this worm, 'tis surely we too.
Okie dokie. Oh, sorry. I've pricked Master Alphino's pride, I fear, but had I been less forceful, the boy would have insisted on accompanying us to the Eyrie. Do not think me blind to his talent. With a few more campaigns under his belt, I have no doubt Alphino will make a fine field commander. But one does not practice on an adversary such as Nidhogg. We shall be hard-pressed enough without added worry of carrying a novice. We have tarried long enough. Let us call upon Master Garland and take possession of the Mana Cutters. Oh, right. Do we meet him at the area for, I think? Oh, no. He's on the other side of this gate. Oh, I see. Elio, old friend. The cutters are ready when you are. The finer adjustments cost us a few sleepless nights, but we got there in the end. So it's been a few nights since we last talked to them. Like, it's stuff like this that makes it like it can't have been a year, right? Like, these couple of quests have been a few nights. It's like, if these couple of quests have been a couple of days, how long has it fucking been? Yeah. There's just literally no way to reconcile it only having been a year just from the text in game. Not even just like it making sense, but literally. Which means he gets to where you need to go. I'll tell you, these little beauties will tear through the wind barrier like a cement drill through cottage cheese. And that, my friends, is Garland Ironworks' guarantee. You have our thanks. Come, Warrior of Light. The dread worm awaits. If you enjoy the stream and you aren't already a member of Discord, why not come join us at discord.gg/Eorzean archives. Into the Eyrie. Temple Carriage and Temple Knight. It makes me sad that the story wouldn't have worked to have like other characters that we knew, because like Temple Carriage and Knights coming is still like a little. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so now you don't crash. How this is gonna play out? Solar flare! wicked mortals, I shall melt your flesh and turn your bone to ash! So that's the new shot. Just to explain how he's with you. These lightning strikes, are they the work of dragons? Never mind that, we have to hurry. I would never do this if it was not NPCs. I want to be very clear about that. Do not pull ahead of your tank. Your tank controls the rate at which you pull. Hey John, good to see you, glad to have you, by the way. I'm curious about all the purple crystals. They're lightning aspected. Yep. When and how did they come about? Nidhogg doesn't seem especially lightningy. So, they're natural formations. So, the thing is, they're just like an area of ethereal density that is aspected towards lightning and fire. That's why there's also the fire crystals around. They're just natural. The same way that there are wind crystal formations in Sea of Clouds or ice crystals in Snow Cloak. There are just places that are specifically very rich with the specific elemental aspecting of Aether, and for whatever reason, this region, the ethereal ley lines, have led it to be incredibly lightning aspected, which is why there's lightning crystals and lightning, and that's also why this dragon is like this. This is what happens when a dragon is, as it grows up, becomes incredibly aspected one direction. This is one of the things that it can become. Those out of that way in advance. In Helone's name, I strike me. I guess I'm wondering if Nidhogg chose it because it was so etherically dense, or if it somehow became dense around Nidhogg because it was a great worm.
one, especially having only one eye, like he doesn't have access to a lot of his power and strength. I would suggest that this is probably more of a natural formation, and he created his where he wanted to stay in a place that was filled with tempestuous winds and extreme ethereal density for both his children. And what we can do is, there is a passage in ED2. Give me a second. That will give us a little bit of insight, I'm sure.
Know your folly. Know your folly.
In a bygone age, when man and dragon yet abided in harmony upon the site, there stood a castle where the honored kings of men dwelled. This ended, however, when the great worm Nidhogg laid it to waste in retribution for his brood sister Ratatoskir's murder. Thereafter, upon the castle's ruin, the worm made his lair, and there he would return every few decades to slumber and regain strength for his unending war on mankind. That he might rest undisturbed, Nidhogg shrouds the area in vicious storms. So the storms do come from Nidhogg. So you're not wrong. An intimidating show of power wielded by one of the first brood. Further protecting his domain are the fierce loyal minions, who stand guard over the area's names are rooted in burning hatred of mankind, such as Ten Or and Earnscore. Each may be translated as depravity, heart, and man's sin, respectively. Though that only speaks to the winds, it does not speak to the lightning, aether. I suspect that that's probably still a natural formation. Geiskus served Nidhogg as a seneschal, using his arcane mastery to preside over other dragons and maintenance of the Eyrie. Adapted for ambulation and bereft of flight, he had not set foot outside the Eyrie for centuries and thus was unknown to Ishgardian authorities, appearing not in the Vault's extensive list of draconian menaces. One of the 7 great worms and leader of the Dravanian horde, Nidhogg and his minions tormented the Holy See for thousands of years in the bloody conflict known as the Dragonsong War. Despite losing his eye, the source of the dragon's might, he still possessed an ample strength to easily destroy Ishgard. That he refrained from the act was solely because he craved not the enemy's destruction, but their eternal punishment. In a twist of irony, however, he would be undone by his own eye. Yeah, nothing more. There's nothing more of use there. But so the winds come from Nidhogg, but it doesn't seem to suspect the lightning, and especially the fact that there's fire aspect in Aether too. That's too much Aether for this amount of crystals for a great worm to be able to provide that Aether, especially if he's using it, and especially if he's only returning to it every couple of decades. So, yeah, I definitely suspect it's a natural formation, a la like what you see in Sea of Clouds. Because you have the internal fire things here. What's interesting, though, is that these fire crystals are egg-shaped and sit in the heart of these. I mean, it's possible that these are just dragon eggs. But I don't think we ever really witnessed them looking quite like that, at least the few other times we would see them. And we also see these hatched ones, though it could be only because they have life within them currently, if they have not hatched yet. Hope that kind of helps with your question. I mean, we can also think of other places, like Som All itself has lots of crystals, right? We know that there's just a lot of places in Dravania that are naturally etherically rich, and the Abalathia Spine in general.
Know your folly.
All you, Sir Knight. The language says he took the castle, implying it was a castle, not a clusterfuck of lightning at the time. Yeah, but it could have naturally grown from crystals held within the castle, maybe. Yeah, so the thing to remember, too, is that, like, even if it was, like, storming outside, like, that might be a quickening of Aether. Remember, like, part of that is the storm. So even if, let's say, there was a lot of, it's also been 1,500 years. New crystals could have formed, or, like, also remember the Calamity happened, and we know that affected the ethereal ley lines of Kurthus. That might have, like, worsened the lightning effect. You know, because it's a chicken and egg situation, because the lightning crystals may be just a byproduct of it being lightning aspected, but why it is could be any number of reasons. I wouldn't think. They only describe the tempestuous, they seem to describe the tempestuous winds as separate from the lightning. That's the only reason that I'm unsure why I don't necessarily think he is related to it in its creation. It's also quite possible the area itself may have once been more a part of the Churning Mists and broke off only after Nidhogg broke it off. Because of its destruction. I mean, like, if we look down, you can see the, like, other main part of the castle structure that once used to, like, be below where the area was, and it almost looks like something was torn away from it. We can definitely look back at it after we get there. We need to go back at it, maybe see if there's something to suggest that. Interesting, there's no the gas just, well, there you go, because we already killed the dragons. This one appears stronger than the others, but it matters little. I'll leave the vanguard to you.
I will end your struggles! I will end your struggles!
That's different.
I will end your struggles!
I will end your snuggles! Yep, no, I'm aware they changed it up. Oh, it rotates. That's cool. Know your folly! Know your folly! I will end your struggles and know your folly! Someone tell the NPCs to use arm's length. Oh, come on. Oh, pre-60 combat. Not say I'm a fan of Dragoon. Actually, I will say I don't think I've ever played Dragoon at a point where I was happy, like I was enjoying it. So I don't know what point Dragoon gets fun. If anyone plays Dragoon quite a bit, I'd love to know.
your folly.
Let me ride it on the way down. Are those ice crystals there on the platform? They do seem to appear to be. Their color would imply that, yeah. They could also be general aether crystals, but that color, that seems rather pale for them. Typically, I would have expected a little bit more blue, but yeah. So, fire, lightning, ice. Wait, whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. Did anybody else notice this? Hello? I don't think I've ever noticed this in here before. Fascinating. Did it come from Dalamud? Was it a piece of Az's law? I've never noticed that before. The area's just got it going on for crystals, I guess. It's just an etherically rich place, so it's not surprising. And also it makes sense why Nidhogg would rest there to recuperate and for his minions. Let me write it on the way down. Is what I say all the time. Oh, it's epic. You gotta question where that came from. Because the other thing is, like, for instance, if that was Dalamud, that would further support the theory that part of why, like, the place here is so ethereally all over the place is also partially because of Dalamud's fall. Though I would suppose after 5 years, a lot of these crystal formations seem to have been here long before that. At least they look that way to me. So I would suspect that this is definitely a pre-Allegan thing. Or a not pre-Allegan, Dalamud is the cause. But that doesn't change that maybe that is a shard of Dalamud that crashed here. I mean, it did, like, break over cart now. Nidhogg has the Neuralink stuff, so that may be connected to where he got that. No. Nidhogg doesn't have the Neuralink stuff. The Neuralink stuff came from Binding Coils, and in the Dragon Song Ultimate Reprise, they take the stuff from Binding Coils actually gets brought to. That's where the Neuralink stuff gets. He doesn't have the Neuralinks in the actual canon. That's why they talk about it in Binding Coils. More elegant. That coloring, I don't remember seeing that coloring as often in Binding Coils, though I'm sure it actually probably still is there. It does remind me of the rings, though, on Az's Law. It's only in an alternate timeline that he gets access to the Neuralinks. And that's why, like, if you do Binding Coils, they don't just go like, oh no, what if Garleans got this? They go like, man, nobody must know about this because not only can the Garleans have this, but the Ishgardians should not know about this either. And they were right. I could have sworn someone said they spotted a Neuralink thing in the background of the area arena. If it's a new thing, maybe. Maybe they just added it. If they did, maybe there is a new thing. At least they did. There wasn't. I'll keep an eye on it. I may be misremembering. All good. Oh, that's cool. For each one you kill, it starts breaking the wall down. Oh, I love it. That's a nice visual change. Actually, I think that's a change. I don't remember that being in the original.
Know your folly.
I don't see anything Neuralink.
This ends here, Nidhogg. You would use mine own eye against me. Tremble at my fury!
Unless it's Min's, then it's tremble at his fury. Yep. Yep. Everyone trembles when the furries roll up. I mean, have you seen that Flash Gits? Those Flash Gits animation with Warhammer and furries? That's just truth. It's a documentary.
Taste my lance.
I really love the flight theme. One of the main regrets I have about turning off flight music is, well, I guess you still have to protect Justinian sometimes, is not hearing that anymore. Oh, they got through.
Know your folly.
I guess they subbed. We got one, boys. I was feeling kind of sad that they're getting quiet. I was starting to think that maybe we weren't worth their time anymore. Yeah, everyone goes for Flaming Gobby immediately. Double booms. Guys, your DBS is so slow! They're trying their best. Not sure how that didn't kill us, but okay. I will say, I miss Justinian like using the eye as like an energy like shield to protect. Like I thought that was actually a really cool mechanic. I thought it was a good flavor. Oh, that's cool. Dragon's eyes limiting the opponent's strength. That's cool, canonic. Little piece of info. Oh. My first experience Heavenward, it was wild to me that they were fighting Nidhogg this early. I do love how clearly Lee was able to deal with Thoradin. Yeah, I love it when they take... Let's just say there are some other occasions when they put bosses that you're not expecting earlier than you think, and I love it every time they do it. Dragons evolve generally based on the makeup of the ambient aether and their own personalities and activities. Yes, I know I'm asking this about time, but maybe, yeah, that's fine. You can feel free to ask and I'll come back to it. All the dragons look very different. They say Midgard Summer's brood. Are they his or just what grabbed his? So, they are his. Dragons reproduce asexually, and they are affected by the ambient aether of their surroundings, as well as just their own dispositions, and so like each dragon can be their own individual, which is why like the first brood can all look different, for instance, even though, and part of that's also the aether as well that they're surrounded by. So like also if you're a creature, a dragon, an early stage dragon is around a bunch of lightning aspected aether too, they'll like tend to be towards one things. Or if you've ever done that fate in the Dravinian Forelands with that giant turtle looking dragon, that is a dragon that spent too much time around earth aspected aether. I think duty support in the Great Google Library would be some adventures from Ildashire.
That would be great. Oh my god, what if it was gobbles?
I don't know if they actually Middy's biological kids. They are, yes. But there is a reason even biological kids may look vastly different, yes. Remember that dragons reproduce asexually, so like variation is not like a parental thing where like two parents come together. That's also why you can have like, that's why people refer to like Nidhogg's brood, even, or why Tiamat and Bahamut can be like lovers, but also it's not weird. And they're like lovers and siblings and, okay, it's weird, but it's not as weird because they function differently. I mean, how are humans also different, right? Like, not only do our genetics matter, but like our context around us matter. Jelly bean. Thou wast use mine own eye against me. Time hath done naught to dilute thy kind's depravity. I have not forgotten thee, dragoon. Mine essence claimed thee once, and shall do so again.
No, worm! This ends here!
Right, but dragons can still look relatively similar to each other, but there can also be derivation, because that, like, you look closely similar because you have your parents, but like it's not just as simple as genes. It's not genes depend like to dictate how a dragon looks. Like, we don't even know that genetics necessarily exist in the same way in the universe. So like, you don't apply real world thinking for 14. Like, for instance, don't apply the periodic table of elements to how things work in 14. Ugh. Yeah, right, Artemis.
You gifted my people 1,000 years of suffering. Now I gift you an eternity in darkness.
Red City. And memories of the past. Oh, no. No. Unlocking of the next. Is this going to be lightning? If so, that would make sense. Yep, lightning. Earth, ice, and lightning. Hey, look, his armor is red. I wonder if it was hinted at beforehand. Nah. Couldn't be. Volume? On me? Am I quiet, or what volume? Haldrath.
They are ours, Lord Haldrath. The eyes of Nidhogg.
Aye. The worm lies broken and my father is avenged. With the wellspring of his vitality thus denied him, Nidhogg shall not linger long in this world. But behold the terrible price we have paid. My sire is dead. So many brother knights slain. We traded our honor for the strength which now courses in our veins. And still we are forced to make such sacrifice.
But not in vain, my lord. Filger is the only great worm left in Dravania, and he dares not leave his lair. With Nidhogg's eyes in your possession, who now can challenge the might of Ishgard, ascend the throne, and take your rightful place as the ruler of our people?
Very chewy grapes. That's what I'm going with.
Nay, my friend. I must forsake the mantle of king. Though Nidhogg be defeated, his wormling horde yet darkens the skies with wings beyond counting. As one who partook of Ratatoska's strength, it shall be my penance to bear a knight's arms until death grants me leave to retire.
Good to see you. Glad to have you.
When that day comes, no prince shall perish, but a hell's-bound hunter of dragons.
My read on that, Aurora, is that it stains.
Lord Haldreth, what then shall become of the royal line?
Think of your people, my lord. Without a king, who will the common man turn to in his hour of need? How will he find his way without your benevolent hand to guide him? I thank you, Sir Flavian and Sir Silvertrill, for dispelling my remaining doubts. With men of such wisdom and compassion in service to the realm, 'tis plain that Ishgard has no need of a king. But if you must bow to the demands of tradition, you need look no further than yourselves for one worthy to wear the crown. Fare thee well, my brother knights, my loyal friends. On these shoulders shall I bear the weight of my father's sins. With this lance shall I repay the debt accrued through our misdeeds.
I don't know, my dude. Maybe the common men will figure out how to lead themselves, like they have many times before.
What cruel jest has fate played upon us?
I mean,
have we seized this desperate victory only to lose a king?
The history of man being ruled by emperor or king is much longer than man ruling man through democracy. or republic.
We can but act as our lord has bid. We few who remain must divide between us the rulership of Ishgard and her people.
Not I. My oath was to Lord Haldreth, and he alone. If he is not to be king, then I would hang up my shield as well.
Will you abandon us too, sir?
Worth noting their names, like Dazamael.
I would wash my hands of blood and betrayal, and take up an honest trade. Mayhap I shall serve ale instead of sharpened steel.
I was about to say, this is if you go to the bar, and I don't remember if it's a side quest or if you just talk to him. There's implications that one of his forebears was one of the knights, and this is him. Only 4 were left, and that's the 4 houses.
We 4.
If he's the Forgotten Knight, yeah.
Forton, Hydaelyn, Dyrendare, and Zemail. But 4 houses to rule all of Ishgard.
And what of the throne?
We keep it empty. Until the day a king rises once more, we must assume the role of stewards. We shall shape our nation anew with a history of our own making, and let the truth of this dark day die here, upon the battlefield.
That seems healthy.
What ails you, friend? Are you wounded?
I've seen the truth of the past. The king's name, Aragorn, son of Eorzean, God Alisar, the Elfstone, Durranden, the Hail of...
The culmination of the first battle with Nidhogg.
I was thinking it too, Demins. I just didn't
The
say
legend of Ishgard's founding tells that our ancestors were led to the land of Kurthus by the valiant King Thordan. In the midst of their journey, they came to a wide chasm, where they were set upon by a great worm, Nidhogg. A furious battle then ensued, with Thordan leading the van. Though the brave king was slain defending his people, his son, Haldrath, the first Azure Dragoon, fought on undaunted. And with a mighty thrust of his lance, he gouged out Nidhogg's eye, forcing the wicked creature into retreat. Thus, did this eldritch orb become a sacred treasure of Ishgard, lending its power to every knight deemed worthy to bear the title of Azure Dragoon. A rousing tale, is it not? Would that I could still believe it. But your vision, which we must accept as immutable truth, leaves no room for doubt, save on one point. If Haldrath took both of Nidhogg's eyes, then how came this eye to be lodged in the worm's skull? Beneath every answer we unearth, another question lies buried. Twas a fierce battle, but one I knew we would win. Your fame is well deserved, warrior of light. Full proud am I to have fought at your side. I would fain return with all swiftness to Ishgard to inform the Lord Commander of our triumph. But we must first have words with Filger. There are parts
I
of
was
this
wondering
tale
if anyone
that
was
the
going to say
worm has
Eldritch.
kept from us,
I was wondering if you were going to say
and I would
something.
know wherefore.
Yeah, no, Eldritch was a term long before Lovecraft. But definitely became associated and synonymous with the usage of those works. Though Nidhogg has fallen, my heart is yet heavy, and this stain of corruption pleases me not. When all has been put to rest, I must needs forge my armor anew. Yeah, see, literally, he's like, I would have to literally make my armor again. Imagine by the time of 3.x, any armor absolutely breaks. Well, I mean, honestly, like, he's got bigger problems than that at that point. Okay, I guess we're gonna call it there. So, hi guys, that was lovely. We're making a good time. We're getting through the game. I wonder how long before we get to Endwalker. Probably a year before we finish, which will be a lovely, wonderful ride with all of you guys. Don't forget, tomorrow's new video. Thursday, Thursday, me and Ninieri, we're going to start our Final Fantasy replay. However, Ninieri may be sick with COVID, so if Ninieri is still sick, we may be unable to start that. I will try to put out a notification on that either early in the day or beforehand. Friday is Lore Book Club. Make sure to go into the Discord and sign up for it. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, go check out our Discord and come join it and talk with us. It's a lovely good time. Beyond that, Saturday is Community stream. So you guys seem to be interested in getting mounts, so I guess we'll probably look at doing that. Sunday is technically I'm gonna have off, though we'll probably still hang out and do stuff on Sunday. So I'll have like an unofficial Sloppy Sunday. Don't forget that if you'd like to support us, you can go to our Patreon. You can make all this whole thing more sustainable. Also, thanks to at the end now it's the end of the month, all the money from you guys has come in. I can officially finish paying for my cosplay. I'm thinking like while I wait for the cosplay to like be done, I'm gonna take one of my other cosplays, and maybe next Monday, since we're going to do the lead up to the vault, I'll be wearing one of my other at-home cosplays for a pre-cosplay stream. And also I will be able to buy a new camera, so I'll be able to get that all set up. You can always do super chats, you can always do all that sort of stuff. If you like written lore, you can go check out our website, www.eorzean.archives.com, to read Nenire's lovely written lore. You will see all these lovely links by our mods, our wonderful mods, Tethys and Ray Ray, which if you could you do some gobby boons or some claps or anything hypes to show your love for these mods who do so much work for me. Thank you. And yes, I hope Nenire is okay as well. I'm sure Nenire will be fine, but they may be under the weather still, and we'll have to figure that out. Thank you, Demins. Thank you. Yeah, definitely hype, gobby hype, gobby. And I'm gonna be honest, my stomach has been killing me for the past 2 hours, so I'm about ready to go collapse. With that, I hope all of you have a lovely time. Have a cozy Tuesday, and I'll see you guys hopefully Thursday, and if not, sooner or later. You can always catch me on the Discords. Cheers!